down the Platte River and into Coors Field. The Rockies in the background taking the field with a gigantic bounce in their step as they welcome in for the third time ever the Tampa Bay Rays. Joe Maddon was here a few years back, actually in '07, when the Rockies took 2 of 3 here from Tampa. All time they're 5-1 in this ballpark against the Rays. Here's Joe Maddon's lineup. B.J. Upton can fly. He's up top. The average beneath where he'd like it at 218. Carl Crawford's been sensational. Evan Longoria, one of the rising superstars in the game. Carlos Pena has big power. Ben Zobrist has been a great story. He's become a fixture at second base. Jason Bartlett, a big story at shortstop. He just came off the disabled list today. Gabe Kapler, a former Rocky, in right field today. Deoner Navarro is behind the plate. And then the rookie Jeff Neiman, the enormous right-hander. And they will be opposed by Jorge De La Rosa. And George has his Fidelity scouting report.
Well, and he struggled a little bit at Coors Field. 0-4 overall with a 6.67 earned run average overall in his career, though 6-6 this year's been a little bit of a battle for him. The fastball 89-95. The curveball, which I think has become a very good weapon for him to go along with that changeup at 78-83. Left-handers, they've struggled. 194 against De La Rosa. He'll have to be very careful with 3 and 4. You're talking about Longoria and Pena, 2 guys with a lot of power. They have done damage this year against him. Think of this: 397, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs. Everybody else in the lineup just 207.
Let's take a look at the gloves behind De La Rosa this evening. Carlos Gonzalez will be in left field. Fellow rookie Dexter Fowler is in center field. Brad Hoffman right. Then Ian Stewart, Troy Tulowitzki, Clint Barmas, Todd Helton left to right in the infield. Chris Iannetta with the gear on. We are set to go under overcast skies at Coors Field. I want to throw another factor into the ball game tonight, George, for De La Rosa. He's got to keep Upton and Crawford off the base paths. There's several guys in that lineup that will test your patience with the running game.
Well, they're going to test his patience in the strike zone. They feel like that's one of their biggest assets, is to work the ball and work the balls to their counts, to 2-0, 3-1, 2-1 hitter counts, and then take advantage of it. You mentioned those 2 guys, but don't forget about Zorbit. Zorbit with 35 steals and have been caught 8 times. He's down in the middle of the lineup.
And quickly 2-0. So Chris Iannetta rises out of his stance, kind of points his glove in the direction of De La Rosa. George makes a very good point about Tampa. They lead baseball in walks, and naturally that means they see a lot of pitches. The 2-0 swung out and fouled off, and they're averaging just under 4 pitches per at bat, which is the best in baseball. They also happen to lead baseball in runs scored, which I think is a pretty important category last time I checked.
Yes, it is. And when their pitching staff had struggled, the runs kept coming and allowed them to have a record above 500. Thank you, Mr. Upton, for swinging at ball 3. Ball down. He's a good low ball hitter, so a lot of times he'll go after a pitch down low. There's what Drew's talking about, the average for pitches per plate appearance, and then the league average at 382. 3.82.
BJ is a little more patient typically than the guy who hits behind him, Carl Crawford. Upton last year walked 97 times. Here's the 2-2. And it's fouled off. Remember during the season last year, George, he didn't hit the ball out of the ballpark that frequently. Then he gets to the postseason. Every other at bat, it seemed he was trotting around the bases.
Boy, isn't that the truth? All of a sudden, he just found Babe Ruth type power.
Last year, Upton hit 273. Right now, below 220. And this is chopped foul. And regardless of the outcome, this is a good at bat for Upton to begin the ball game. Now it's going to require at least 7 pitches to produce an outcome. And this is kind of how the Rays have been playing. Tulowitzki's pulled over in the hole. And he got him on a changeup. Beautiful pitch, and Upton is gone.
That's the one pitch that fell on right-handers that he would have to utilize, and he really does. Great arm speed through the zone, and a swing and a miss by Upton for the first strikeout. The keys to tonight's game brought to you by Burt Automotive. New faces talking about the Tampa Ball Club. A lot of people haven't seen them here in the Denver market. De La Rosa, Drew mentioned, going to have to pound the strike zone, work ahead in the count, a patient team. And I think the second time through for the Rockies against Neiman will be a big plus for them. This is a big, strong kid. You'll get more on him at 6'9", 260 pounds.
Well, this is a scary guy, Carl Crawford. What a talent he is. 316 average. And he is the premier base stealer in the game, and has been really, George, the last 7 years.
Well, he has been. It's just a big difference from what Joe Madden told me today, as he's becoming a base stealer. Before, it was a lot of raw talent that would just outrun the baseball. And now he's starting to learn more and more about what to do on the bases, getting better reads off of pitchers, particularly left-handers.
1 ball, 2 strikes. 71 degrees our game time temperature. And a nasty hook. That was a slider. And De La Rosa has struck out the first 2.
Yeah, left-handers, we mentioned they've only hit a .190 against him. A lot of it's due to the fact he could spot that slider on the outer half of the plate with great velocity, depth in the slider, the break of the slider out of the strike zone, and you can see how helpless of a swing with this big lean on the Hyundai cam from Crawford. Here's another guy, scary at the plate, Evan Longoria. Big time power.
But George, he hurt his hamstring about a week ago. This ball is hit well, and it's hit out. Just as you said, big time power. I was going to tell you that he was in an 0 for 19 slump after the hamstring pull. And he comes out and hits his 15th bomb of the year. Evan Longoria leading the American League in all-star voting. You usually think of Jeter or A-Rod. It's Evan Longoria.
A lot of fans throughout the United States love to watch this young kid swing the bat. Very upright stance. And when you get a ball up into the zone to him, you don't see him go down much. You see him attack the baseball. And he got one here, a little bit of a hanger. And able to get it out of the ballpark in left field over Gonzalez, only a few rows up. So you talked about patience. Well, they don't swing early and often. First pitch home run.
There are certain guys that do that, though. Atlanta will work the count, and then all of a sudden Jeff Francoeur comes up. You better not feed him one on the inner half, right?
Well, normally that's one of those guys that does swing early in the counts. I mean, Larry Walker made a living doing that. Hit over 400 in his career swinging at the first pitch in a Rockies uniform and Cardinal uniform.
1-0 on Carlos Pena. Never been a big average guy, but he will hit the ball over the wall. Pena career average at 250. And the Rockies put the shift on. He's a dead pull hitter. And he hits the ball in the air to left field. No problem. Gonzalez is there. Evan Longoria has given Tampa an early lead on a solo home run, his 15th of the year. The Rockies will counter with this lineup from Jim Tracy today. Dexter Fowler will lead it off, then Clint Barmas. Todd Helton in the 3-hole. Brad Hopp at 337 will bat cleanup. Barmas has really enjoyed hitting in that 2-hole. Troy Tulowitzki will bat 5th. this evening. Ian Stewart, Carlos Gonzalez, Chris Iannetta, and Jorge De La Rosa. So Dexter Fowler with a .255 average steps in. And big Jeff Neiman on the mound. We mean big. 6'9", 280 pounds. The former All-American at Rice, who led Rice to a national championship a few years back. 4th pick overall in the draft when he came out in 04.
I had a little bit of help down at Rice also. There was three guys, excuse me, drafted in the first round. How about that? It's the first time in history. Wade Townsend, Philip Humbert were all drafted in the first round.
1-2 count on Dexter. Shade him a little bit toward left field. And did he go? No swing. Well, tonight is Email the Booth. It is Tuesday night. Here's how you do it. Log on to FSNinsider.com. Go to the Rocky Mountain homepage and click on the Email the Booth link. And we're going to try to get to as many of your questions tonight as possible. This ball on the ground to Pena. The flip to Neiman. And that's the first out. It's also brought to you by Office Liquidators and OfficeLiquidators.com. Colorado's largest selection and lowest prices of office furniture. Email the Booth night. All right, let's check the Fidelity scouting report on the big right-hander. Frazier.
Well, this big right-hander can flat bring it 81 to 90, or should say 91 to 95 on the fastball. The curveball 75, 76. It's kind of a loop to it, but it has great downward plane on it because of his height. The slider 81, 83. He will work the slider to the middle of the plate along with the curveball. You saw the check swing by Dexter. He's pitched well of late. He's gone 3-1, 286 earned run average for him in his last 4 starts, or last 6 starts. Leadoff hole, that's been a little bit of a problem for him. The leadoff man in a ball game's hit 353 against him.
This ball roped into left field. Another hit for Clint Barmes in June. He came into the ball game tied for the most hits in Major League Baseball in the month of June. That's his 23rd. Let's take a look at the gloves behind Jeff Neiman this evening. Carl Crawford in left, you know he can run. B.J. Upton, a converted shortstop, has become a wonderful center fielder. Gabe Kapler, hard-nosed guy out in right field. Longoria at third. Jason Bartlett's a good glove at short. Ben Zobrist does a nice job at second. Pena at first, and Deoner Navarro is behind the plate. 1 on, 1 out. Todd Helton steps in. He had 3 hits on Sunday as the Rockies swept the Mariners. This ball chopped to first. There's 1 and there's 2. A 3-6-1 double play. That closes the book on inning number 1. Tampa with a 1-0 lead. prostate cancer research. To donate, call 800-798-CURE or visit their website at pcf.org. Major League Baseball does this every year, trying to eradicate prostate cancer, and they do it as we lead up to Father's Day, which is 5 days away next Sunday. 1-0 Tampa. Drew Goodman, George Frazier. Mark Stout is roaming the ballpark. Ben Zobrist to lead off. He's a switch hitter. You and I both visited for a while with Joe Madden, your former Boulder Collegiate teammate, George.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that Joe Madden was on the 75 team with Baldy Muschietti that ran it. Skyline Liquors was the sponsor of that ball club. Baldy's business out in Boulder. Quite a few cast of characters on that. A lot of big leaguers have played. Ricky Peters. It's a guy, Bobby Pate, Clay Westlake, Eddie Lynch. Went on as a general manager and a pitcher at the big league level, was on that club. Ben Hines was the third base coach. Of course, Mr. Bus Campbell. I say Mr. respectfully. I love the guy. I miss him. Used to see him around the ballpark. Was the pitching coach.
He's had so much to do, the late Bus Campbell, with many big leaguers' success, and maybe most notably of guys in the game today, Roy Halladay.
Roy used to come in between starts and work a bullpen at times with Bus.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Ben Zobrist. Stayed off the slider. In talking to Joe Madden today, I asked him, who's been your MVP so far? And he named 2 guys. Lance Cormier, who has helped solidify a bullpen through a number of injuries. And he said Ben Zobrist, who started the year, George Moore, as a super utility guy. And this could be a problem. Tough chance for Stewart with a bare hand. He didn't get it. Zobrist can run. And it's an infield hit.
Well, we mentioned how quick he is. He has 35 steals on the season. He's only been caught 8 times. So when this ball got topped out in front with the light mist and rain we've had, a little bit of dampness, the infield a little gummy at times. Well, what a great play by Stewart, though, to come in a bare hand this baseball, playing deep with 2 strikes. Long way to come in, the short hop, and then the flip over. Man, oh man. Yeah, beat it by about 1.5 feet. I'm going to correct myself very quickly. Need my bifocals fixed, Dougie. By the way, he has 8 stolen bases, been caught twice. I looked at the strikeouts. He has 35 strikeouts. But I had Drew Trick for a while.
Well, you said that again. I was like, wait a second. He has good speed, but I was like, he didn't have 30. Yeah. Carl Crawford's got the 30-plus bats.
There you go. That's right.
0-1 line drive, base hit, center field for Jason Bartlett. He's been the other big story. He now has an 11-game hitting streak, and he just came off the DL. He missed the last 19 ball games with an ankle sprain. Let's check in with Mark Stout with tonight's Mike Shaw Auto Update. Mark?
All right, Drew, when you win 11 ball games in a row, the question comes out, are there any superstitions involved with the Rockies? That was asked of Jim Tracy in the pregame media meeting, and he said, you know what, I've had the same Cat Stevens CD playing in my car. He and his wife have been listening to one track. I don't know, maybe it's Peace Train or something, so he hasn't taken that out. And then there's Clint Barmas, who hasn't shaved since the winning streak. Now, he trimmed his beard between BP and the game, and he did get a hit in his first AB. And he also told me a story about playing with the Sky Sox back in, I think, 03, when Rick Sofield was the manager there, and he said to him, if you guys win 10 in a row, you can shave my head. Well, it was his Clippers. They won 10 in a row. Barmas had the Clippers shave the manager's head, and that's a story he had from winning streaks. But he's got a little superstition going here tonight, guys.
Well, yeah, lucky there. Tulowitzki had the daylight play working in behind shortstop and was wide open, went straight to the bag. Going in now to make sure he tells De La Rosa, you make sure you're paying attention that when you look back, you see me break. You can see him move over. Well, obviously, folks, it opens up the whole left side. Gabe Kapler's known for pull ability to take the ball and pull it through that hole.
Kapler's been hot. He's hit a home run in each of his last 3 ball games after a very slow start. Guy was managing in the minor leagues in the Boston system 2 years ago and said, you know what, I still want to play. This ball's pulled foul. I'd like to correct one thing Mark said. Mark, I hope your headset's still open, because he said that Clint Barmas had not shaved since the streak began. I want to clarify, actually. It was the streak in 07. He's got baby face, George. Come on.
Yeah.
It's taken him 20 months to grow that out.
Okay.
Look at it. Trim. What does he have to trim?
He did say that he trimmed it, though, after BP.
Yeah, he trimmed what he had started in 07.
Ah!
There you go.
Well, I'm the slow one here.
Thanks, Mark. That's a strike, 1-2. Yeah, George, one thing we haven't mentioned tonight, behind the plate is John Hirschbeck. And John is a very good umpire, but he has a broad strike zone. And you know that typically going in.
Well, and when you say broad, it's not only wide, it's tall. So, I mean, he actually lives to those new rules of strike zones. And he will, if you could prove to him that you could paint the outside corner, he'll continue to give it in a ball game.
Good block by Iannetta. 2-2. There's nobody out. You have very good speed on it. Zobrist at second and Jason Bartlett at first.
Well, it's all about reading the pitch and shifting to get your body in a position with men on base. And at that time, Iannetta did a great job rotating over, centering the ball to the middle of the body. Make sure everything stays out in front of him.
This is popped up and should be playable in foul ground. Oh, man. Wow, Stewart just stopped. I think he thought he heard Tulowitzki saying, I got it. That is costly. You got to put that out away.
Well, you have to put it away, but then on the other side of that thing, those type of mental errors you just don't see out of Ian Stewart and Tulowitzki ever. A lot of times a third baseman will think the shortstop's going to come around behind him, and as he stopped to look, you could see he thought Tulowitzki was coming. So as he went over to get to the baseball, he stopped, looked to his right, no Tulowitzki, and the ball drops next to him.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't burn the Rockies. You don't want to give any club extra outs. This happened with Kapler, George, a couple days ago, and he made him pay with a home run, and he's going to make him pay here. This is going to go all the way to the wall. It'll score 2 runs. Kapler's going to end up at third with a triple. You talk about costly. 3-0 Tampa Bay.
Well, I'll assure you right now, there's nobody that feels worse right now than Ian Stewart, and including Tulowitzki, that ball dropped over behind third base. But this is a pitcher's where you got to come back and pick your guys up, and that wasn't bad pitch. That ball was a slider down, and watch how the body drops. The bat head does too, to go down and get the ball into the lower part of the zone. When it's hit into this gap, I mean, Gonzalez is off to the races along with Dexter Fowler, but Kapler still runs very well at third now, and nobody out, down 3-0.
Well, you're going to pull the infield in. The 8-hole hitter's up. Deoner Navarro. You do have a chance to get out of it without further damage, but De La Rosa is going to have to work his magic with the strikeout. He's capable of getting punch outs. 2 already in this ball game, 15 in his last 2. He had a 2-ball game run earlier this year where he struck out 22.
Navarro, not a very good hitter with runners in scoring position, just a .133, 8 for 60. That got improved. 9 for 61 now.
And it's 4-0 Tampa. 4 straight hits, single, single, triple, single. And the Rays are up 4-0, and they've kept a nice crowd here on a Tuesday night. Very quiet so far. Jeff Neiman will try to sacrifice. I'm looking at Neiman's feet, George, from up high.
They're bigger than yours?
They're bigger feet. He has bigger feet than I do, and he also takes up the entire. You can't say get in the back of the box or get in the front of the box. He's in the whole box.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sized foot sitting down there.
Now watch when he sets his feet.
Well, he is 6'9". You can't expect him to stay in a 2x2 area.
Look, he's in the back of the box. He's also in the front of the box.
Well, he's 6'9". He's a big guy.
He is large.
Yeah, one thing the Rockies staff had done such a wonderful job of during the streak of winning these games consistently was with runners in scoring position. They held the opposition to a 139 average. So far tonight, 2 for 2. Prior to that, they've been 10 for 72. They're just outstanding.
You know, the last few years, the Rays pitchers have swung the bats well in interleague play. Rays are 5-1 in interleague play, and the Rockies are 5-1. Neiman goes bye-bye. He's a strikeout victim. That's the first out of the inning. B.J. Upton will come up. Let's check our first email of the night from Vinny. And Vinny wants to know, what do you guys think sparked the Rockies' winning streak?
Well, you never like to see anybody get fired, but I think honestly when Jim Tracy took over, because of what was going on inside the locker room at the time, the way the players had been wondering when and if is it going to happen, they felt there was relief there, and I think the players have shown that. For me, it was when Jim Tracy came in, solidified roles down into the bullpen, set a pretty set lineup of who was going to play every day. He may shuffle it around a little bit, but for position-wise, these guys are playing pretty steady. For me, that's what it was.
Yeah, the Rockies won a couple ball games beginning in Houston. They played well in St. Louis against a team that at the time was leading the National League Central, and I think their confidence grew off of that. The pitching staff starts with the guy who takes the baseball initially. They've gotten on a nice roll, and the hitters are scoring 2 more runs per game over the last couple of weeks than they were through the first 2 months. And there's probably a little everything involved. It's in a relaxed team right now. There's no question. Upton didn't get the fastball. It's 1-1.
Yeah, Josh Fogg starting to throw down in the bullpen. I think that's Jim Tracy right there. He says, you know what, to win this ball game, we're already down 4-0. I got to stop it at some point. I want Fogg ready to go if and when I need to make that stop.
And this ball's walloped to left. It's going to kick off the wall. Deanna Navarro to third, and he's going to get a green light. Tulowitzki's throw to the plate is not going to be in time, and Upton goes all the way to third. 5-0 Tampa. They have, in fairness, hammered De La Rosa here. I mean, I know the pop-up wasn't caught, but Kapler fouled that up with a line triple. Longoria home run earlier. There haven't been many cheapies.
No, and you see where the pitches are from De La Rosa too. Everything kind of up into the strike zone. See the glove go up of Iannetta on the Hyundai cam. You can see it. And when you get that set like that, I mean, it makes it difficult. Obviously, against a very good hitting team, Tampa is that. Been particularly hot in the month of June, hitting .272.
Well, the Rockies already down 5-0. The last time they gave up more than 4 runs in a game was June 3rd at Houston. That's the last time they lost. Good job by Barnes checking the runner at third. Upton stays. Crawford retired. And now with 2 outs, Evan Longoria comes up. He homered on the first pitch he saw last inning.
Now let's take a pitch back in the first inning. Look where the pitch was, folks. Belt high, middle half in, up into the strike zone. And a guy that has an upright stance is a good a high ball hitter. Difficult for them to go down and get the low pitch, but they are a very good mid-thigh up hitter. A lot of times you get the ball diving away on these guys too. Let's watch and see if this front side just pulls a little bit to try to start some stuff. See, he has a stride forward and the shoulder starts to go, you know, on a dead pull, and here it is on a freeze. That's just what we're talking about. See, here's the lower part of the strike zone. You can see that ball up 8 to 10 inches into the zone just below the belt area. That was all part of that great 06 draft. A number of players that have made it to the big leagues. Longoria was one of those guys that was there in the draft to be taken, and the Rays capitalized on it and they took it. He made it to the big leagues in a hurry and a very productive player at the big league level.
American League Rookie of the Year last season. Here's the 3-0, and that's on the outside corner. When you're down 5-0, you're not looking to add traffic. But he may be more comfortable going left on left with Pena, who's not nearly the threat against a left-handed pitcher as Longoria is, and that pitch is inside. So he walks Longoria, and here comes Pena. If your windshield is damaged in any way, we know who to call. It's Elite Safelite Auto Glass. The number is 303-287-5000. You can visit them online at safelite.com.
By the way, I was talking about the 06 draft in the first round, including the supplement. 17 of 44 have made it to the major leagues already. How about that? 51% of first round picks have made it to the big leagues. You know, forever, 51%. So it's not an automatic when you go in the first round, but a little better than half. Thanks, Dougie.
Carlos Pena, the 9th man to come up here in the 2nd inning. And he went around, strike 1. Here's another email. This one, didn't Vinny just write us? Vinny keeps writing us. What grade do you guys think the Rockies got in the draft? A, B, C, D, F. You can't give them a grade, Vinny. None of the guys have played yet.
Well, I think the hard part is 2 or 3 years down the road when you really grade a draft out, because sometimes you get those 7th through 20th round draft picks. The Brad Hopps of the world, the Garrett Atkins of the world,
the Clint Barmases of the world, even Ionetta in the 4th round. You get guys that make it to the big leagues, so it's tough to judge right now. I'm excited about the fact they took the young left-handed high school kid, and hopefully they could get him signed and get him here in uniform. I do the broadcast every year for Fox and do the Aflac game, and the Aflac game I always had the ability to sit down and talk with him and watch him throw. He's a special talent. Well, Vinny, the Rockies did get 3 guys at Baseball America rated in the top 17 of all players available, and they did that in the first round, having an extra pick and a supplemental pick. They had 3 of the first 34, so from that standpoint they did nicely. Now you got to get them signed. Now they did sign one of their number 1s today, and in addition to a bunch of other guys. They signed Tim Wheeler, who was the 32nd overall pick. He was the 2nd first round pick. Wheeler's an outfielder.
Well, Billy Smith does a good job, and his cast of guys that are out there with him, all the scouts that work through it. Danny Montgomery is a cross-checker, Ty Kozlow a cross-checker that went out, and along with Billy Smith, Bill Guyvette spent a lot of time on the road looking at these amateur guys, both high school and college. 34th pitch coming up of the inning for Mr. De La Rosa.
And he couldn't get Pena to bite at that. 2 balls, 2 strikes. At third base is B.J. Upton. At first base, Longoria. 4 runs in the inning. Longoria hit a home run in the first, so it's 5-0. If the Rockies are to make it 12 in a row, they're going to have to battle uphill tonight. Though the good news is it's still very early. And that pitch is up high, 3-2. This may be a gut feeling coming up here for Jim Tracy, because Fogg's been throwing for a while. He gets ready pretty quickly.
Yeah, Fogg's ready to go. I mean, it's a matter of trying to let him face the left-hander, trying to get out of the inning. But if it loads up and you're already down 5-0, and one of the hottest, best hitters hitting .373 coming in was Zorbers, it's going to be difficult. Doesn't matter. Got out of it.
He got out of it, but a rough inning for De La Rosa. It began with 4 straight hits by Tampa. They're up 5-0. To go outside the box. Brad Hopp, last time Tampa was in town, hit a home run in the first game of the series. Second game of the series, he hit a home run. And then guess what happened in the third game of the series? Yeah, he hit a home run. Going outside the box, brought to you by Jack in the Box. Right now, try the mini Buffalo Ranch chicken sandwiches. 3 mini home-style chicken fillets on toasted mini buns. Tampa off to a 5-zip start. The Rays with the second longest winning streak in baseball. They've won 5 straight. And here is Brad Hopp. And Neiman's pitch is high, ball 1.
Well, let's see what the long inning did. 36 pitches for De La Rosa to get out of the inning. A lot of runs scored. Neiman set through all of that. Nice to have the comfort of a 5-0 lead to see if he can pound the strike zone. Early on, the fastball touched 96 once, but he's been averaging right at about 92, 93.
Neiman 2 starts ago, a complete game 2-hit shutout. His last start, he couldn't get out of the 4th inning against the Angels. Got a no decision. His club eventually actually won that game. Outside. Firestone League leaderboard. Interleague averages. Todd Helton's at 423 in interleague play. But Dexter Fowler. Garrett Atkins threw 3 hits out on Sunday. Here's the 3-1. And this ball's clobbered to right. Get up. Get out. Nope, off the wall. And it's kicked back toward the infield. Hopp will have himself a double. Gabe Kapler fires it back in. He hit it hard enough to get out. Just didn't hit it high enough.
Yeah, what's the deal putting that big scoreboard out there in right field? Oh, any other offense around the ballpark, he'd have been out. There's a little dent out there in that scoreboard right now because of the way this ball got scalded. A ball they wanted on the outer half of the plate with some sink to it and left it up into the strike zone, and Hopp able to extend and drive it. Unfortunately, got a little bit too much under the baseball. That top spin kept it in the yard.
There's the dent you were talking about.
Yeah, right in that netting that covers up the scores out there.
Here's Tulowitzki. George, you've been on the other end of these things where a team gets off early, and I know you watch from the bullpen. But psychologically, it's real important. You're not going to get 5 back typically at once, but get a run, get 2 runs, and kind of chip away.
I think when you're a winning team, and the way the Rockies have won as many as they have in a row, they realize they're down 5. 3 weeks ago, you probably would have said not a chance to come back into the ball game. But now with the way they've played and the way they've played small ball to put points on the board, it's an easy way to get back into the ball game. It's just peck away a little bit, and they believe they can win. By the way, American League rookie wins. Porcello over in Detroit, 7-4 right now. Matt Palmer at 6-0. Neiman third on the list at 5-4.
2 balls and a strike on Tulowitzki. Nobody out. Hopp at second, and this ball's fouled off over our heads. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I don't know any place you'd rather be on July 3rd and 4th than right here at Coors Field. You know why? Because it's the best fireworks anywhere in the United States. The Diamondbacks are in town. Hopefully the Rockies will pick on them a little bit. So pick up your tickets because they're going quickly for those 2 games, as they always do at any of the Rockies ticket outlet, or just go online with ColoradoRockies.com.
Neiman taking his time. 2-2 on Tulowitzki. And that just missed. 3-2. Let's answer another email. Question from Robert. Wants to know how the umpire knows when to resume the game coming out of a commercial. Well, Robert, the second base umpire keeps track of the time. And at 90 seconds, he okays he points to the home plate umpire, says, you know what, it's okay to continue. And every once in a while, usually times out about the same time that the the pitchers completed his warm-ups and they've thrown it around the infield and they're ready to go. Every once in a while you get a guy who goes really quick.
Well, it's supposed to be 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
Is it 2:05? I said
2 minutes and 5 seconds, and they carry a stopwatch, and when the last out is recorded, they punch that watch.
Here's the payoff pitch again. And it's fouled off again.
You know, that's what I've always said. Bud Selig always complains about the length of the games. Well, you know, television is a wonderful thing. Obviously, Drew and I love it. We have a job. But the thing is, you think about that, that's 4 minutes and 10 seconds added to every game. Some guys come out, they get ready in 8 pitches, let's go. And you'll see them stand or be held before the inning will start. Umpires will hold it because they know that television is not back from their breaks and you're going to miss pitches.
Every once in a while, truth be told, they're supposed to start, if it's at 10 after, they're supposed to start at 10 after, and the pitcher may be ready at 9 after, and the umpire forgets and lets them go early. This ball's ripped to left, a base hit. And Crawford fielded it on one hop. Brad Hop stopped at third base. So the Rockies countering here. A double, a single, nobody out. And Ian Stewart will take his 235-pound body to the plate.
High fastball again. Tulowitzki, pretty good high ball fastball hitter. Gets a hold of this, had a little bit of a humpback liner right at it. You can see that thing going out into the outfield with the top spin. Crawford just played it on the hop to prevent and did a nice job charging it to keep Hop at third base.
And Joe Madden was talking about Coors Field. And he asked, he goes, you know, is the humidor making that big a difference? And he was asked about his playing days with you, George, out here in Boulder and the light air and what it does to pitchers. I'll tell you something after this pitch. That's in there for a strike. He said something very interesting that I hadn't heard before, but makes a lot of sense. He said hitters, he believes, at altitude in Coors Field, they come up with just a little more confidence because they know there's a lot of room out in the field. And pitchers have that element of doubt, especially pitchers, George, that have never performed here, like a Jeff Neiman.
That's exactly right. Plus, the hitter's eye is the best in baseball. I think that's the other thing that guys play into. And then I think the one thing you battle as a manager, because they do know it's light air, they do know the ball carries a little bit. The guys that aren't home run hitters all of a sudden think they're home run hitters in the very first game here because they hit one out. And, you know, that hitter's eye out in center field is one of the best in baseball. But all of a sudden they start to overswing trying to hit home runs versus just trying to be themselves and let the home runs happen.
Now, Stewart has to bend the knees a little bit and shorten up, George. Got to get it in play here. 0-2, first and third, nobody out. Well, that was, George, that was an awfully good pitch for an 0-2 delivery.
But it was. Again, it's a mistake made. And you know, when you're trying to get some outs, you could see this is going to be a sinker that they're trying to get to sink down into the strike zone. And right now he's so upright on his delivery on the front side that's not allowing the ball to get to good extension out front.
You like to say that was a flat sinker,
yeah,
and it was off.
Flat sinker, pretty hittable. Anytime you get something moving this way instead of this way, it's not going to work for you in a positive way.
And this ball's lifted to right field and fairly deep. Kapler on the edge of the track. That'll get Hop home. And a nice two-strike approach by Ian Stewart. The Rockies are on the board. It's 5-1. That is the 34th RBI for Stewart.
On the Hyundai cam, let's look at the upright swing right here at Stewart as he starts to come up on this baseball. See the body go up, but yet the head of the bat sweeps down to drop in to get a hold of this curveball, and then the one-handed extension up front. More or less just trying to fight that pitch off and get it elevated with nobody out and a runner at third. Nice job, Ian Stewart.
Yeah, Stewart having a nice month of June. He's hitting .327. That's his 14th RBI. Carlos Gonzalez steps up with Tulowitzki at first. And Carlos looked to bunt. And that's something that, you know, George, the guys that can do it is a good play. Neiman's a big man. He falls off hard toward first base. Longoria's got a hamstring at third base.
Well, you do, and why not try it? Let's see what kind of athlete he is. He got over covered first on Helton's ground ball double play, but you need to find out what he is. You have Pena, Longoria, see what they do. It's one thing about the American League. There's not a lot of guys that bunt. You know what I mean? This is one of the fastest teams in the league, in the American League. They lead the league in stolen bases by almost 40.
B.J. Upton, he can run. And his partner, Carl Crawford, can absolutely fly. On pace to steal 90 bases, in fact. 2-0. And that's a fair ball. And Gonzalez tagged out by Pena. Moving into scoring position is Tulowitzki. So Iannetta will come up with first base open, but Tampa's up by 4 runs. Let's take a look at another email. Tony writes in, is there a minimum number of innings pitched in order for a starting pitcher to get a win in a game? They have to pitch 5, Tony.
Got to pitch 5 in order to be considered. In the minor leagues, 7-inning game like high school. If you get through the 5th, still have to do the 5th inning in the minor leagues. Doesn't matter. High school games, a lot of times 7-inning game, they'll go through 4. Well, Hickey's out to visit with him, the pitching coach of the Tampa Bay Rays. Jim Hickey, a nice job as a pitching coach for their organization. By the way, George Hendricks at first base. Steve Henderson's their hitting coach. Tom Foley, former middle infielder with the Montreal Expos, it's at third base.
Steve Henderson was the prime pickup by the Mets in that 4-for-1 deal, and they traded Tom Seaver. Never forgive M. Donald Grant for that trade, George. GM of the Mets back in the 70s. Well, let's see how careful they are with Chris Iannetta. Breaking pitch in the hitting zone, strike 1. You have a real light hitting pitcher on deck in De La Rosa. That's why Hickey went out and said, listen, you cannot make a mistake here and give up a run or more, because obviously Iannetta can hit it far. 8 home runs this year for Chris. 1-1. Tulowitzki takes off for third, and he steals it. Well, that's one you best be safe.
Yeah, exactly right. I think Neiman, though, got into the habit of not even looking back at the third base area. Realizing now, I mean, he just kind of one little peek, but look how long he is and what time that it took for him to get to the plate. Then Navarro throws high, not on the bag.
Tulowitzki almost knocked over his former Long Beach State teammate Longoria. It's 8 stolen bases for Tulo. That's a career high. 3-1 on Chris Iannetta. And Chris, I think he looked up on the scoreboard, George, and he saw it said 2-2, and he stepped out. He wanted to ask John Hirschbeck. He said, which is right? I thought it was 3-1, and now the big scoreboard has changed it to 3-1. That's a whole different deal. On the outside corner.
Well, good pitch. I mean, a big right-hander, if you're going to hit it, he's going to run it off the plate and let it run back to the corner, and he did just that with it. Navarro setting off, quite honestly, off of the plate. Drew mentioned Hirschbeck with a wide strike zone and a tall strike zone.
And he strikes him out on a fastball in the same location. Rockies got a double from Hop, and Ian Stewart eventually brought him around. 5-1 Tampa. money. Tampa for 2 more days. Thursday's an afternoon ball game. And then over the weekend, the Pittsburgh Pirates come in. Rockies back in National League play. And then it's back to Interleague play as they head to Anaheim and Disneyland. We'll also play the Oakland A's on that next road trip, rounding out Interleague play 09. De La Rosa will face switch hitter Ben Zobrist. And Zobrist tomahawks one to deep center field. Fowler going back, still going back, can't get it. And Zobrist is hunting a triple. That is the second triple of the ball game. Gabe Kapler had one. So now they have a home run from Longoria, 2 triples, an Upton double, and several singles. This is as hard as I have seen De La Rosa hit maybe all year, George.
Yeah, it really is. But everything's up in the strike zone right now. It's not down in the strike zone. I think Jim Tracy sent Fogg up to started getting loose again as you watch Zobrist take off running on this ball tail. A lot of power out over the head in this big ballpark into that gap off the wall. Dexter gives chase, but not before he could end up at third base. And you know the worst part of this, Drew, is where you are in their lineup. The guys that can swing the bat. I mean, Bartlett's at 377 after his most recent base hit. You mentioned Kapler, as hot as he's been. He hit a triple in his first at bat. Nobody out in the third. Now all of a sudden you're back to a 5-run ball game. And Jim Tracy can't let it get that way.
Here's the 1-0 to Bartlett. 2-0. Bartlett's an amazing story. He doesn't have enough at bats to qualify for the hitting lead in the American League because of his recent injury. Otherwise, he'd be leading all of baseball in hitting. You say, wait a second, Jason who? Jason Bartlett? And you go back to August 1st of last year. There's only one player in the game who has a higher average than Jason Bartlett, and that is Joe Mauer, who has a little more fame. This guy has been unbelievable. And he's hitting with power, too. And look at that situational at bat. That's going to get another run home. Sac fly for Bartlett. It is 6-1. That's his 31st RBI. And Zobrist trots to the dugout. 1 out. Gabe Kapler will come up. A 2-run triple his first time.
Well, if you're wondering at home, I mean, De La Rosa is going to be coming up to lead off the inning in the third. Does Jim Tracy have any ideas of, okay, let's just see if I can get through the inning without any more damage than it can reduce it? Either way, Fogg's going to hit in the bottom of the third inning because he's going to have to eat up 3 or 4 innings to save Tracy's bullpen. So if things start to get a little hairy again and things start to go, then obviously he's going to have to get him out of the ballgame. You know, Bob Apodaca, I know that this pitching staff has thrived under him, and Jimmy Wright down in the bullpen helping out down there on this long streak. Going to have bumps in the road.
You know, typically, George, when De La Rosa has struggled, his record's misleading. It's 2-6, but there were a number of games near the Rockies just didn't score any runs when he was out there. But when he has struggled, typically he's his own worst enemy, and we've talked frequently about it.
Second and third time through the lineup, particularly the seconds where he gets banged up a little bit. Think about this, folks. Of the 41 runs that he has allowed, 27 of those have come in the third and fourth inning. 27 of the 41 in the third and fourth inning. That is that second time through.
But the league hitting just .251 against him coming in. So, you know, sometimes it's the walks. He's made some errors behind him. And the walks, that's part of the ERA. But tonight, he's been squared up a bunch tonight.
Yep, 7 hits so far, 6 runs.
Here's the 1-2 on Kapler. And John Hirschbeck, I think, thought about it. Didn't punch out Gabe.
Well, he's a little bit up in the zone, a little bit off of the plate. That's probably why he didn't get the call. You see, anytime you watch a catcher rise up that far, I mean, Iannetta trying to get it, trying to get his pitcher out of this at bat with Kapler. Still throwing hard. I mean, the last pitch, 95 miles an hour.
I've always admired this guy, George. I mean, he plays the game at 1 speed. And you talk about playing with an edge.
Well, he does, and I mean, I don't think he realized when he went out and started to manage this, you know, he wanted to stay in uniform and figured that out, that start taking a little batting practice at the end of the year and said, you know what, I still want to play. I still like putting a uniform on and grabbing a bat.
This one is one-handed to deep left field. You know what? He just hit it out one-handed. That's 4 home runs in 4 games for Kapler. And it's 7-1 Tampa. And that may just force the hand of Jim Tracy. He's missing up in the zone. And Tracy's coming out of the dugout. He's already signaled for Josh Fogg. It'll be a short night for Jorge De La Rosa, unfortunately.
Well, you're right. I mean, here it is again on a ball up out over the plate. But look at Kapler, how strong he is. He is the guy that spends a lot of time in the weight room. And for De La Rosa to only go 2 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 7 runs given up by De La Rosa in this ball game. It's a start he would like to forget. Trust me.
From winning 12 consecutive. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 800 Comcast. I didn't want to be reading that. I love the folks at Comcast, Georgia.
Right.
I prefer reading that late in the day.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wanted to hear you read that right now and get De La Rosa, knowing that De La Rosa would be out of the ball game with 1 out in the 3rd inning, trailing 7-1.
Deoner Navarro steps in, and that pitch is outside, ball 1. Navarro, switch hitting catcher, hitting .232 from the right side, 194 from the left side. He had a base hit for an RBI against the drawn-in infield in the 2nd inning. Fogger pitched on Sunday, went an inning and a 1/3, clean baseball. He was lamenting the other day. He said, you know, I'm enjoying this. He goes, I love to compete. He goes, but I'm not getting a lot of opportunity because the starter, he's a long guy. The starter's been going 7-8 innings.
Well, and that's a good thing. When you're the long guy out of the bullpen, I know a lot of times managers would use a guy, say, well, I haven't been out there 4 days. I need to get him an inning. I need to get him 2 innings. Well, when you're the long guy, you're at the mercy of the starting staff for one of those guys to mess up, and you don't want them to. But that's what you're here for. I mean, that's basically your job. You stay sharp on your own, and it's usually a veteran guy like a Josh Fogg that can take care of himself. And so when a guy like De La Rosa has a bump in the road and he has to leave after 2 1/3 innings, you have somebody like a Josh Fogg to maintain the ball game and maybe allow this offense, which there's a lot of outs left, 7 of them, 7 innings worth of outs to try to get some runs on the board.
This ball in the air to left field. Carlos Gonzalez will have it. Let's check another email. Dan writes us, which is more difficult, a National League team playing in an American League ballpark or an American League team playing in a National League park? I think it's an American League team, George, playing in a National League park because you play by National League rules. The American League managers not as accustomed to double switches, the utilization of the bullpen, pinch hitters, and having to match up in the chess game that is often a National League ball game from the 6th, 7th inning on.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing that Joe talked about today before the ball game. He said, not only do I have to do it in interleague play, we're at the National League parks, but he said, we're playing in a National League park this year for the All-Star game, and I'm managing the American League team.
1-2 on Neiman.
I know American League pitchers get all excited, though. I mean, they think they're going to get the hit and have some fun and swing the bat, and they find out it's really no fun to go out and do it, and then it becomes very serious, as it was in the first inning, for Neiman to try to get a sacrifice over, and he didn't get it done with anybody out.
Not to take anything away from American League managers, Joe Maddon's one of the smartest men in the game, but you know, you roll your lineup out there, George. Well,
you take less guys, Drew. You have less guys on your club because you have a longer pitching staff, because you don't pinch hit a lot in the American League during ball games.
2 more runs for Tampa. They are up 7-1 early. Colorado Rockies baseball on FSN is brought to you by your Colorado Hyundai dealers. Buy any new Hyundai and get up to $5,500 in savings. America's best warranty and Hyundai Assurance Plus. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more in car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Dex, take the sport out of finding local information with Dex and print online at dexknows.com. And by Burt Subaru. Lease a new 09 Impreza for only $179 a month. Rain earlier in the evening, still some snow in the high country. Josh Fogg's going to lead it off here in the 3rd inning for the Rockies. De La Rosa goes just 2 1/3. Gave up 7 runs, all of them earned. Jeff Neiman missed inside. Rockies scratched out a run last inning. Double by Hopp, single by Tulowitzki. And then a sac fly off the bat of Ian Stewart. That's in there for a strike. We were talking before the break about interleague play. The American League has dominated the National League, especially the last 5 years. They've won the season series each of the last 5 years. And last year, they absolutely hammered the National League. There were 46 games over 500 against the NL. This is chopped to short. Fogg is retired by Bartlett. And so far this year they lead 46-40.
Now look at the home runs too. 115 over 82. Earned run average up. It should be. The number of home runs. Pitchers averages in the National League up about 100 points. The DH average kind of surprising there. American League at 211.
You know,
National League at 234.
All time, George, the American League 1582 and 1460. So they've won 52% of the ball game since interleague play began back in 1997. But it's not just, you know, in these matchups. What's happened in the All-Star game and in the postseason lately. I mean, the Philadelphia won last year, but the American League has been the more dominant league.
Well, and it's not surprising to me because it seems there's more home run hitters over there and a little bit of better pitching at times. No, it's just, this isn't any fun for Dexter Fowler. I mean, you look at the scoreboard going around baseball. Milwaukee over Cleveland 4-3. The foul ball right off the ball of the foot on the Hyundai cam. Dexter went down. I was watching the middle of their infield while you were talking about the records and things, Drew, and the reason I was because the sun just broke under the clouds. And it was funny because their whole middle infield started pointing for Pena to look, and you'd be able to see a throw. He didn't go in and grab any sunglasses, thinking that he might go do that because as that sun sets down the left field line in that corner, it can be a big problem for a first baseman on balls thrown from the left side of the infield.
That curveball missed. 2-2 on Fowler.
See, if you're playing first base, this is what Pena and Todd Helton get to battle. So any of those throws over there from that third base shortstop area, they've really got to figure out a way to get the ball to him. He didn't go get glasses, though. That surprised me a little bit.
Here's a 2-2 once again, and it's popped up left side. Longoria giving it a look, and he's going to have a play. 2 outs. That'll bring up Clint Barmes. He ripped a single to left in his first plate appearance.
Clint's average now at 292, 6 home runs, 30 RBIs.
Let's check our Geico quote of the day. It's from Clint Barmes. We knew we weren't playing to our capabilities. I bet it was only a matter of time. I was actually surprised it took as long as it did, to be honest. Of course, Clint alluding to the last 11 ball games. During the streak, Clint has had 8 multi-hit games. He may be on his way to another one tonight. It's in the air down the right field line. Now a bad read initially by Kapler, and he's going to still get there. You know what? For a guy that's been around for a while, George, he still runs pretty well.
He runs extremely well. Got a bad read on this one. 7-1 Tampa.
Josh Fogg got the final 2 outs of the 3rd inning, and he's on the bump here in the 4th. Trying to get the Rockies back on offense as quickly as possible. And it's the top of the order. B.J. Upton, Carl Crawford, Evan Longoria. Upton an RBI double in the 2nd inning. That's pitch in the zone. 1 ball, 1 strike. And a base hit the other way. That is the 9th hit of the ball game already for Tampa. Tonight's injury report is brought to you by the Exempla Lutheran Medical Center. We alluded to this a couple of days ago. Taylor Buchholz tried to come back. He had a tear in his ulnar collateral, tried to rehab it, but it's not going to work, and he is going to have Tommy John surgery tomorrow. He will be out not only for this season, but well into 2010. That is at least a 12-month recovery period for a pitcher.
A lot of guys come back within 12 months, but they don't really reach the full, what do you want to say, full potential for about 18 months. And it takes a while to come back from the Tommy John. And it depends, too, on a lot of guys how they heal. I think Taylor's got the right frame of mind to go into this surgery tomorrow morning, and I think that he'll come back better than new. Better as a new pitcher than he was the other way, obviously. I think he'll be fine. A lot of guys are today. It's not that big a deal as it once was.
Yeah, he's in good spirits considering. He knows it's a long process. But,
well, he gave it the best shot.
He did.
He was hurt in May, or all the way back in March. Tried to work through it in April. Did the rehab. Did everything they asked him to do. Sit down an extended spring for 6 weeks, trying to get back, and it just didn't happen.
They got Upton out at first. Fogg caught him leaning.
That doesn't happen very often to get picked off in a 7-1 ball game. Had that extra step that he started to take towards second base, and on the Hyundai cam, you can see this quick slap tag come down at Todd Helton to knock the hand away and get the pickoff completed.
0-1 on Crawford, line to fairly deep left field. Carlos Gonzalez going back, still going back, and he makes the catch. We said before, he is smooth, and sometimes you'll watch him run, you think, man, is he running full speed? But he catches up with the baseball.
Well, that ball's away, and it's going to tail away, too, which is more impressive on this than anything. Crawford thought he had it out over his head, and the ball just continued to carry. Yeah, just used those afterburners to get back to make the catch on the Hyundai cam, followed it right into the mitt.
Evan Longoria at the plate. Longoria, a home run and a walk. Yeah, an interesting guy, George, coming out of high school, wasn't drafted, went to a junior college, not drafted out of a junior college, and he really blossomed at Long Beach State, and he was universally regarded by scouts as the premier college bat in that '06 draft.
Well, he had power, he had average, he had everything. And he's put on even more muscle since leaving school there, becoming stronger with the bat.
Off the end of the bat to his buddy Tulowitzki, and he is retired. Josh Fogg gave up a hit to Upton, but he erased him on the pickoff. Middle of 4, 7-1 Rays. Not pretty so far. The Rockies' quest for 12 in a row. Tampa's up 7-1. They've out-hit the Rockies 9-3. There's Mark Stout out in left field. Mark?
The question, the Athletic Trivia question here today is about the streak. Rockies hoping for 12 in a row. We'll see what happens here. Can you name the 3 current teams that also have not won 12 in a row in their franchise history? Think about that. We'll get to the answer coming up, guys.
Who have not won 12 in a row.
It's hard to win 12 in a row.
Have not, George.
0-1 on Todd Helton, who bounced into a double play his first time. That's outside the zone. 1 ball and 1 strike on Helton. Todd in his career against Tampa is hitting even .500. .16 for 32.
That's pretty good. Matter of fact, that's real good.
That's good if he was playing in the Knoxville Little League. Vintage Helton. Wasn't sure if that was going to be called a strike. Pounded it into the ground, foul.
First 10,000 fans to the gates on Thursday, June 18th, will receive a special offer from Frontier Airlines. Purchase your tickets to this game versus the Tampa Bay Rays at any Rockies ticket outlet.
And Neiman strikes out Todd Helton. That's his second strikeout. That'll bring up Brad Hawk. For Jim Tracy, he brings a record, ironically, a game under .500 in his managerial career into this contest. He's .575 and .576. And the reason I say it's ironic is the Rockies, if they can win tonight, get back to that magic .500 plateau. They'd be 32 and 32. Tracy won a lot of ball games with the Dodgers. He had a very young and inexperienced team for 2 seasons in Pittsburgh.
Well, they lost 95 one-run games in Pittsburgh while he managed that team. 95. That's a bunch.
Did Coach Tracy play ball? Did Manager Tracy play ball? So when and for whom? He made it to the big leagues with the Chicago Cubs. He was a very good minor league player. Hit for a lot of power, drove in a lot of runs, and wasn't able to have that translate. Didn't have the opportunity maybe to have that translate at the big league level, but he was always a student of the game and really moved quickly as a manager, George, through the minor league system.
Well, part of the reason why is he went to work for the Montreal Expos and was given an opportunity to be a bench coach for Philippe Alou, who taught him an awful lot about managing a team. Continued to rise through the coaching ranks and then on to the managerial position of the Dodgers, then Pittsburgh.
2-2 on Hop. He had 185 big league at bats, hit 3 home runs, batted .249 in the minor leagues. He had 100 RBI a year. Drove in quite a few in the minor leagues. First managerial job was in the Midwest League with Peoria back in 1987. How about this, George? Harrisburg in '93 in the Eastern League. In Montreal's organization. He managed a team that went 94 and 44. 50 games over 500.
I just want to see who was on that team. How many big leaguers are now there on that ball club that was a part of that?
Well, George, the big league club, that's when they had Walker and the boys of Salou.
They had a bunch of good players in Montreal at the time, and Jimmy may have had Vladimir Guerrero down at the minor leagues.
Three-2 on Brad. Check swing foul ball. Brad hit one off the scoreboard and right his first time up for a double. He has scored the Rockies' only run. It's turned into a very pleasant night. We got our late afternoon shower out of the way about 5:30.
Starting to be a little bit like Hawaii. You get to rain about 3 and then play baseball at 6.
It's been a crazy few weeks of weather. Ball 4. So Hop walks, and that'll bring up Tulowitzki. And Mark Stout, I think, has the answer to our Affleck trivia question, right, Mark?
Yes, indeed, Drew and George. The Rockies try to get 12 wins. The 3 other teams that have not won 12 games in a row in their history. You've got the Marlins, 9 wins in a row 4 times. Nationals, 10 wins in a row 4 times. And the Mets have won 11 in a row 4 times. Those teams have not come up with a 12-game winning streak. The Rockies trying to get it done here tonight, guys.
Yeah, the Mets, as you well know, Mark,
yeah.
Also you answer that question, what teams in big league baseball have never had a no-hitter thrown for them?
All right.
And you'd think the Mets would have had a no-hitter with all the great pitchers they've had through the years. They've never had a no-no.
Rays are on that, right? And the Rocks?
Yeah, Rocks never had a no-hitter.
All right, wait a second. You know, you wanted to know who was on that team that made it to the big leagues?
Oh, who was on that team?
All right, hold on a second. Wait till this pitch comes.
That's
Cliff
outside.
Floyd.
We just saw Cliff.
Shane Andrews. Glenn Murray. Rondell White. Miguel Batista.
Wow.
Joey X. Eischen.
Yeah.
Reed Cornelius. Urbina.
Uguth Urbina.
Kurt Reeder. Gabe White. Yorkie Perez. Well, let me manage that team.
You'd have messed them up.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's not hard to write out a lineup card, just sit in the dugout and let it play.
1-2, Troy Tulowitzki. You know, Troy, a former dirtbag from Long Beach State. Evan Longoria, another first-round pick. Lottery pick, if you will, from Long Beach State. Do you know since 2005, 34 Long Beach State players have been drafted, including 4 this year? Shot foul. In fact, at least 3 Long Beach State players have been taken in every draft over the last 9 years.
I found it amazing the other day, Dougie, look it up, Long Beach State did not have the most players in the big leagues. Oklahoma was in there with 8. One club had starting in 09.
Wasn't Florida State? Florida
State has 10.
They're going to have another one soon when Buster Posey gets there.
Long Beach State was not in the top 7 or 8 clubs.
Tulo fouls off another pitch. He's just in a much better place offensively. He's cleaned up his at-bats, looks more comfortable. He's slugging better than .650 in the month of June. 4 for his last 6, hitting with runners in scoring position. He waited and hit this one to center field. And initially, I don't think B.J. Upton saw it. Now he finds the baseball. Hop will return to first. That'll bring up Ian Stewart. And it'll take us to another email. Brent in Aurora writes in, the Rocks are not getting much national coverage with their 11-game win streak. Why can't Colorado get any respect?
Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you, Brent. Last night I did a radio show on for Sporting News Radio, for XM Radio, and then later on another one for ESPN Radio. So you know, it is getting some national attention. It may just not be what you're seeing on Sports Center at night. Although I did see it on there last night. I saw it on the MLB Network, their coverage that they had going on with the Rockies and what they had accomplished.
Yeah, they had a nice piece on the Rockies win streak. Kicked it around their sports desk on the MLB Network. But if you follow Major League Baseball, you know this ball's in the air toward right center field, and Upton makes the play. You know that the national coverage tends to be dominated by what happens in New York and Boston. of the 5th inning. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, and Mark Stout from the ballpark tonight. Carlos Pena will lead things off. He's leading the American League in home runs with 20. He's 0 for 2 tonight. He bats cleanup, then Ben Zobrist and Jason Bartlett. Josh Fogg in relief of Jorge De La Rosa. Breaking pitch on the back door for a strike. Pena is from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, but his mom and dad took the whole family from the Dominican Republic. He immigrated to the United States. This ball's well hit left center field. Gonzalez at the wall, leaps, can't get it. Opposite field, home run for Pena. His 21st of the year. Gives you an idea why he has 21 home runs, George. He hit that 400+ feet the other way.
Well, I started to look at the flags above the scoreboard out in left field. There's not a whole lot of breeze there yet. Then I look above the rock pile and I see a pretty good breeze, because remember a minute ago when he hit the other ball to left field, it was about 10 feet short of being to the fence. And now this one ends up getting out of the ballpark. I know he's strong. No question about that. I know he can hit the long ball. But you know, I started to look at those flags up there above the rock pile just to see what they were doing and to carry on the baseball. Well, here's a look at get a shot of this when the ball left the bat. Dexter, I think, Gonzalez both thought they were going to be able to maybe have a play on that ball. It ends up out of the yard.
Pena, to continue that story, came with his family when he was 12 years old. They moved to Massachusetts. Dad was an electrical and is an electrical engineer. Mom a teacher and an accountant. Zobrist is going to ground out to second. And they moved to the States so he could have a better education. He initially, Pena, went to Wright State in the Midwest and then got homesick because they were living in Massachusetts and transferred to Northeastern, which is not exactly a baseball mecca. And he had a great year in the Cape Cod League, George. Was the MVP of the Cape League. And the next year he went, after his junior year, 10th overall to the Texas Rangers in the draft. This ball's pulled foul.
Well, it kind of goes back to that old theory that if you can play a little bit and you get out and get some exposure, just enough for people to see what you could do. And obviously the Cape is a wonderful place for college players to go and be seen and really kind of make their mark. For Jeff Francis, the #1 draft pick of the Colorado Rockies. That's where he made his mark from a small school, by going into the Cape and doing what he did.
Dougie just informed me something about Wright State in Dayton, Ohio, George, that I did not realize.
What would that be? That Jim Tracy went to school there or something?
No, Jim went to Marietta. This ball's driven to center field, and the looping stride of Dexter Fowler pulls it in, and Bartlett is retired. Gabe Kapler will come up. Well, Dougie went to Dayton, University of Dayton. They're the Flyers, and their big rival is Wright State, where Carlos Pena went for a year. And he said their big cheer, I think Doug's trying to claim that he started this.
Doug, you want my headset to do the cheer or something? Is that what you're getting? I'll be here. Come on, Doug. Doug, come on. Doug, here. Come on, do the cheer, Doug.
He's not going to do it, Doug. He's getting camera shot. Wright State, wrong school.
Why would you tell? Why would you have Drew do the? Why would you have Drew do the cheer and give him a note like that? No, I'm not doing it. I didn't go there.
You do the wrong school part. Ready?
I'm not doing. No, Dougie, come here.
Uh-oh, this ball's lifted deep left center. Fowler going back, still going back, and he makes the catch. Kapler, a long out in the inning. Carlos Pena, originally from Wright State, wrong school.
Went to the wrong school at the Wright State.
Hit it out.
Oh, one of those.
It's time to get you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Carlos Gonzalez out of the 7-hole to face Jeff Neiman in the 5th. Takes a strike at the knees. He grounded to first back in the 2nd. Rockies have been held to 1 run on 3 hits. 8-1 Tampa. And the breaking pitch is a slow roller to 2nd, and it's going to be an infield hit. Then Zobrist, I don't know if he would have had him even if he came up with that cleanly.
Yep, would have been a very difficult play for him to be able to do that. Now just topped right out in front of the mound, and again Neiman couldn't get there. Then it's going to be an exchange from glove to hand and a quick flip. Not able to do that either. And the speed Gonzalez able to outrun it.
Chris Iannetta coming up. Another email. This from Dano. How would you rate Carlos Gonzalez's performance so far, and how long do you think he'll remain in the starting left field spot? That pitch outside, ball 1. Well, for me, he has 29 at bats since being called up where he was tearing up AAA. This guy has all the tools. He's been a #1 prospect in 3 organizations. You have to see over a significant period of time what he can do, being given every day at bats. That's pulled foul.
Well,
so
I don't think
29 at bats is a big deal.
A #1 guy with Arizona and with Oakland. Not they hadn't been with 3 teams yet. They had the ratings for the Rockies deal hadn't come out yet because we just traded for him. But he was #1 with Arizona, #1 with Oakland.
And we assume he'd be #1 in the Rockies organization.
Well,
something
I mean,
right there.
You would think so at some point. I mean, you got to look at all the players through up and down the organization right now. And again, he's one of those guys that's been with 3 different organizations. He's going to get a chance to play every day here, and he's going to have to prove to some people that he's not a 4A player. Because last year he did some decent things in AAA, got called up, didn't do so well. This year he had 58 RBIs, tearing the cover off the baseball, and hasn't produced up here yet either. But like Drew said, it's been 29 at bats.
3 balls and a strike on Chris Iannetta. Josh Fogg on deck. If Iannetta, George, hits one to left center field, he's going to run all day. There goes the runner, and it's fouled off. Tonight's high-speed pitch is brought to you by Quest High-Speed Internet. Neiman hit 96. Josh Fogg has topped out at 87. Fogg's not a speed demon when it comes to throwing the fastball. Well, 3-2. See if the runner starts again, keeping him out of the double play. Gonzalez takes off. Ball 4. The Rockies have 2 on and nobody out. Fogg will try to push him along with the bunt. Another email. Connie writes in, do all pitchers rely on the fastball as their #1 pitch, or are some better at other pitches, Frazier?
Well, you see this a lot of times, but the fastball is the #1 pitch you need to be able to throw. And obviously some guys come in out of the bullpen that are split finger guys, sidearm guys with a big slider, the left-handed specialist, the right-handed specialist. But fastball is a primary pitch that you got to be able to throw 4 strikes and have command of, I think, both sides of the plate or have movement on it. And it's only going to make everything else that much more effective.
Fogg's going to jog up the line visit with Richie Dower. Jeff Neiman went 17-0 in leading Rice to the NCAA championship in 03.
Who were the other 2 guys? Townsend was one guy that was drafted in that deal. Philip Humbert And Wade Townsend made baseball history when the three of them were drafted in the first, how about this, first 8 selections in the 04 draft. Hubbard was taken 3rd by the New York Mets, Neiman by the Rays, and Townsend 8th by the Orioles. In 03, another of their pitching mate, David Archman, was also a first-round draft pick in 03.
Yeah, Archman.
And I'm not sure what year did Anderson go, the right-handed reliever? Was it 01 or 2000 out of? What did he go to Rice?
Yeah, but he's older. You're talking about Matt Anderson?
Yeah, but Matt Anderson came to the big leagues his first year signing right out of Rice.
98. Matt Anderson's back in the 90s.
Here was the key. How about this?
Whoa.
That was close. Neiman not drafted out of high school, out of the Houston area, or out of Lamar, excuse me.
They said he had a funny arm.
High school. Yeah. 94 miles an hour.
They said he had a funny arm angle, and once he signed with Rice, they backed off.
94 is 94.
I agree with you.
6'9", 260, 6'9", 260. I'll work with you when we get you out.
Yeah. How about not drafted at all? That's crazy, huh?
By the way, Texas 7-6 over Arizona State. It's in the 7th.
That's a fair ball. It's on the line.
Just set and died.
Yeah. Fogg got it done on the 1-2 pitch. So Gonzalez to 3rd, Ionetta to 2nd. That'll bring up Dexter Fowler.
Watch this bunt by Fogg. Just bounces out, right out, and then sit. They're hoping it's going to go foul, but look like they caught a couple of cleat marks. Hickey, his 2nd trip out to the mound to talk to him at the top of the order, and a 7-run lead.
Got to tell you what this is, George. This is Joe Maddon's respect for the Rockies lineup and fear of this ballpark.
Well, I would agree. I mean, he's seen it here before when he was an Angels bench coach. He's been a manager in here. He knows what can happen and happen quickly.
Now Dexter Fowler is 0 for 2, ground ball to first, and a foul out to the 3rd baseman Longoria. Hit here would tighten things up a bit. Rockies down by 7 runs. Ball 1 on Dexter. Fowler had a double on Sunday. It was his 50th hit of the year. Fans of the Rockies can battle back and score 7 tonight. Hopefully it'll be more than that. Go to Taco Bell tomorrow between 4 and 6. Get 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink. Now that's a steal. Gonzalez, an infield hit, and then a walk to Ionetta. And this ball is hit in the air to right field. Good piece of hitting. That's going to get the run home. Kapler will make the catch. And Carlos Gonzalez will score. And he really, George, had to pull those hands in and did a good job to get underneath that baseball.
A lot of times where the pitch is, it'll give you an opportunity to do just what Drew's talking about. Now, if you can get a read on it, you're going to be able to drop the head down on it. He'd already committed to the pitch as he floated forward. It was a breaking ball. They're trying to work to the down part of the backside of his back left foot. So watch how this ball's trying to work its way down here into this area. When it gets down to that area, difficult. But Dexter did a nice job lifting the ball up, getting it out into the outfield, and getting a run across.
Clint Barmas 1 for 2. Ionette at 2nd. And Barmas fouls it off. Rockies coming into play tonight since 06 in interleague play, 33 and 21, 12 games over 500. Since 06, that's the best mark of any National League team against the American League. 0-2. Remember last year, George, only 2 National League teams were over 500 against the American League. The Rockies and the Mets.
Only 2 teams, and it's kind of an amazing thing when you think of all the mixed matches that go on and the teams and the matchups. You'd think it'd be a little bit better now, and obviously it wasn't. Toronto and Philly tied in the 10th, 3-3. Cubs and White Sox postponed. A lot of rain in the Chicago area. St. Louis all over Detroit 11-1.
Did you hear Ozzy's latest quote on Wrigley?
Yeah, well, sometimes you're better off just zipping it.
I hate Wrigley Field.
I saw a deal last night. I looked out to see Milwaukee over Cleveland 7-3. It's in the 9th inning. Milwaukee came back and won a game last night. And during the telecast last night, they were saying that possibly that Cleveland would be shopping Cliff Lee. I'm like, he just won a Cy Young last year. Won 22 ball games, didn't he? I mean, now you're going to get rid of him?
Line drive, left field, get down and will. Chris Iannetta will come home with the Rockies' 3rd run. Barmes with his 2nd hit of the night. And it's a 2-run 5th inning for Colorado. And they're starting to chip away. That's a big hit.
Huge hit. You kidding? I mean, think about this, folks. All of a sudden, you go from a 7-run game to a 5-run game, and know that the middle of your order and the top's going to work again this ball game at least 2 more times, maybe even 3 more times before you get there. Yeah, trying to win 12 in a row. Clinton putting one on the board. Number 12. You get all the tie in there. By the way, Humber,
yes.
Humber, the other guy that was drafted in 04 as a 1st-round draft pick, is with the Rochester Red Wings, Minnesota. He's 1-4 with a 6-something earned run average. Townsend out for the year with shoulder surgery.
1-0 on Helton. Todd bounced into a double play and struck out swinging. That goes to the backstop, and now he's a single away from driving in Barmes. Clint, by the way, 9 multi-hit games in his last dozen.
Well, part of this now is starting to happen, and missing targets by so much. I mean, look where he's sitting up, look where the ball's at, and it's at 93 miles an hour. Not much of a chance for Navarro, who's kind of sitting back on his haunches. With a 5-run lead, that ball got right by him and did it in a hurry. A lot of that obviously can be his fault, but the majority of it falls on Neiman not being able to hit his location.
Two balls and a strike on Todd. He's on pace to drive in the neighborhood of 115 runs or so. I'd like to drive in number 46 right now. Fouled off, 2-2. Todd off camera right now, crouching a little deeper. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ground ball to short. In the inning, the Rockies come up with a couple of runs. Clint Barmes drives in Iannetta to make it 8-3. Winners of 11 straight. Tampa winners of 5 straight. And right now the Rays are in the driver's seat. Deiner Navarro will lead things off in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 2, an RBI single in the 2nd.
Pat Burrell stepped out into the on-deck circle, telling me that's it for Neiman. Had some long innings. Pitch count got up a little bit on him.
Changeups outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tampa's battled some injuries this year. Scott Kazmir is scheduled to throw tomorrow in a rehab start in the minor leagues. He has a quad injury. He's the ace of their staff. Jason Isringhausen is going to have Tommy John surgery again, George. And he's toward the back end of what's been an outstanding career.
Yeah, I can't see him coming back. I mean, he put him on a 60-day DL. I would think that with all of his accomplishments and what he's had to battle through over the last year and a half, basically. Troy Percival, another guy that
I'll tell you a guy that Ben Zobrist has filled in admirably for him. He's played at basically an all-star level, but Akinori Uemura with the torn ACLs out for the year. This ball's pulled down the line. It is a fair ball into the corner. So Navarro is going to have a double. I love watching Brad Hopp throw. That's a big, strong arm he's got out there in right field.
Yeah, I really like to watch him play catch. I hate to see him throw because that means he's chasing a bunch of stuff down in the outfield and having to get it back in. But he does have the strong arm down in the corner. He's perfected playing right field here at Coors Field, not allowing a lot of balls to get by him. He played that perfectly, and then a strong throw in and on the money to second base. Well, Pat Burrell got a pinch hit after Navarro's double. Leadoff double, and everybody remembers Pat Burrell with Philadelphia, a free agent, signed a contract with Tampa.
Big swing and a miss for Burrell, and they replaced Burrell in left field with Raul Ibanez from Seattle. And not only has Ibanez filled in nicely for Burrell, if you were to vote for an MVP in the National League so far this year, Ibanez would get considerable consideration.
He'd have to. He'd have to. What he's done and what he's put up. I mean, Ibanez has just been unbelievable.
1-1 on Burrell. He's always enjoyed himself at Coors Field. Navarro at second. And that's outside. Fogg played at the University of Florida, where he was a closer. Pat Burrell played collegiately at the University of Miami. Born in the Midwest.
Well, you mentioned what Ibanez has done going into tonight's game. He's hitting .322. He's tied for the league lead in home runs with 22. Second in the National League with 59 RBIs.
He's in triple crown. He's in a triple crown race.
Yeah, Cecil Fielder's Prince Fielder at 62. He leads the league. Hopp and Heltner in the top 10. Hopp at .337. 5th in the league in hitting.
And they're the defending world champs, and despite a miserable rotation, George, Philadelphia's atop the National League East.
Yep, and again, I think that's due to a lot of the injuries that have happened.
He went around.
Yep, bring him up. Go grab some pine.
You know what, George? I'm putting my June 15th vote in for MVP for Raul Ibanez.
Okay,
Can
put
I do
it
that?
in.
All right. Check in again with Mark. Mark, what do you know?
Got the XL Energy fun fact, and I'm here with the Smith family, who just got off the plane from St. Pete. This is Connor Smith. He's a big Rays fan. They got all the Rays gear on. He was at the very first game at Tropicana Field back. How old were you? 18 months old? Yeah, he was young. That's all he was. But the XL Energy fun fact is about the expansion draft, which happened in '97 before the Rays came in the league. The two Rockies they picked are familiar names, Quentin McCracken and Brian Rekar. Second for McCracken, 19th for Rekar of the 35 picks. Now, there are 4 still in the big leagues from that expansion draft. None with the Rays. Bobby Abreu, you know that name. Miguel Cairo was on that list. And a couple others that I can't remember that I put together. Randy Wynn, of course, starts in right field, and Dimitri Young, who's on the DL for the Nationals. 4 guys, 4 names that people know. Cairo's playing with the Lehigh Valley team for the Phillies, their AAA affiliate. But these guys made the trip, having a vacation here, visiting cousins at the game tonight. Drew and George, back to you.
All right, Mark.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Sounds like a nice little summer vacay, huh? Upton in the air to center. Dexter Fowler got a quick jump. And now look at him square himself up to throw to third just in case Navarro tries to move up, and he's going to. I was a little surprised that he did move up there. Give him credit. He's safe. 2 outs. And that'll bring up Carl Crawford. You know, Crawford, George, kind of reminds me a little bit. And I usually would not talk about my own athletic exploits in high school, but he had a similar high school career to the one I had. He was recruited as an option quarterback to Nebraska. He was recruited and had a full ride to UCLA as a point guard, but opted to play baseball. 2nd round pick. That sounded like my high school career, didn't it?
I was going to say, where were you going to play point guard? I believe the option quarterback part.
That's a pretty good athlete, isn't it?
Not bad at all.
Yeah, Josh Fogg is going to step out. We'll come back and tell you about the pitching change after this. On FSN is brought to you by the Great Colorado Payback, reuniting you with your money. By the Courtyard by Marriott on the 16th Street Mall. Ask about our hometown sports package. By Priority Mail flat rate boxes, only from the Postal Service, a simpler way to ship. And by the Colorado Lottery, don't forget to play. Two outs in the 6th inning. Deoner Navarro at third base. Carl Crawford coming up, and this call to the pen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST. Randy Flores on, and the slider for a strike on the inside corner to Carl Crawford.
Well, Flores just trying to maintain what Fogg did. Fogg did a good job in 3 1/3, 3 hits, gave up a run, a home run. Responsible for the runner at third base. First slider more of a get me over. The last, a swing and miss type slider. Took it out of the strike zone. Bigger break, more tilt.
Here's the 0-2 on Carl, and it gets away momentarily. Good block, though, by Iannetta. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? We were kidding about Crawford. So he could have gone to Nebraska.
No, we were kidding about your deal, not his. His was serious.
I was serious.
No, he was serious.
Who was
we were serious about UCLA, Nebraska, #1 pick in baseball. That's a pretty good athlete. You were good. No kidding. You were good. But I was just miffed a little bit about you playing point at UCLA. I mean, I've seen you play. I know you're pretty good, but UCLA I wasn't sure about.
Yeah, or any of the other stuff. Welcome back to the 6th inning. Time for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. Nice catch there over the shoulder by Carlos Gonzalez. He is smooth. That was the Frost Brewed Coors Light Freeze Cam. New pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. How about the Tampa Bay Rays? Where'd that come from, Frazier?
Well, I'm not sure.
All right. Jeff Nelson's in the ball game after 5 innings of Jeff Neiman.
Mr. Nelson coming in trying to just shut the door down and allow this ball club a chance to get deeper into its ball game. A year ago, he was with the Florida Marlins, 3-1 over 59 ball games. Very impressive. A 2-point earned run average, 54 innings, 42 hits that he'd given up. Struck out 60. 28 games right now, an overall record of 1-0.
How about this for Joe Nelson? 14 years of pro ball. This was the first year he made an opening day roster.
Battled around. He got it in his blood, man. This is what he wanted. Stay at the big league level.
34-year-old, and he's behind 2-0 on Brad Hopp. Doubling a walk tonight for Hopper. 3-0. The great thing about the Rockies right now and where they are psychologically, they believe, George, they're going to win this game.
Absolutely they do. The way they've been playing, I think a lot of people in town watching this ball game right now believe the same thing.
That's on the corner.
Now, for the fans, the Rockies organization will be hosting a food drive and will be collecting your donations of cash, canned foods, and non-perishable food items at all the gates before tomorrow's game. That's Tuesday. All the collections will benefit the Denver Rescue Mission, which has been serving the people of Denver for over 117 years. Please take this opportunity to join the Rockies in helping the Denver Rescue Mission better the lives of many men and women and children in the Denver area.
3-2 on Brad Hopp. And he came back and struck him out. So Joe Nelson punches out Brad Hopp. Let's check another email. Chad in Denver, what's the longest winning streak in Major League history? I've had that on the street a couple times in the last few days with the Rockies putting together this 11-game streak. The all-time record, the New York Giants in 1916 won 26 in a row. They had a tie in there also. And also, they played all those games at home. different era. The modern record, if you will, is 20 straight wins, the 2002 Oakland A's. Outside, 2-0 on Tulowitzki. Longest win streak this year in the game. The Boston Red Sox in April won a dozen straight. Won 11 straight, excuse me. They won 11 straight. Last team to win 12 in a row, the Red Sox, in June of '07. Of course, they went on to the World Series that year against the Rockies. '26 in a row at home, George. You know, that was kind of like Arizona's home schedule this year in April.
It really was, wasn't it? Remember that was 22 of
26 of 29.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Tulo 1 for 2. Single, reached third base. He stole third base, in fact, his 8th bag of the year. Three and 2. Another 3-2 count. If your windshield is chipped, don't wait. Call Colorado's #1 team, Elite Safelite Auto Glass, 303-287-5000, or visit safelite.com. Yeah, you know what? He's fallen behind the count, but he's making a pitch on 3-2. He struck out Hop on a 3-2 pitch. Yep. He got Tulowitzki on a 3-2 pitch.
Not a whole lot of high velocity either. He's been up to 89, mostly 86, 87, 88, but it has a lot of sink and tail to it, and he's able to put it where he wants to. You know, veteran guy that's battled. I mean, you love to see this about guys like Nelson that have battled through his career to try to stay at the big league level, bounce back and forth. Accumulated a little over 3 years at the big league level.
Stewart, a sac fly in the second and a fly ball to center field in the 4th inning. Leads the club with 12 home runs. And that's popped up playable down the left field line. Long run for Crawford. Longoria. And Longoria sticks out his glove and makes the catch. Pretty athletic play by the American League reigning Rookie of the Year. 8-3 Rays. The 7th inning, and again we visit with Mark Stat. Mark.
All right, Drew, Dex, this date in history. You already mentioned Tom Seaver's name once tonight because of Steve Henderson being a coach with the Rays. Well, let's do it again. It was on this date in 1978. George was there. Tom Seaver finally a no-hitter as he no-hit the Cardinals at Riverfront Stadium as the Reds. Now, what do you have? 5 one-hitters prior to that. He won the Rookie of the Year, 3 Cy Youngs, World Series with the Mets. And the guy that is the first base coach for the Rays, as this is hits the center, is George Hendrick, and he made the last out of that game, a grounder to first for Tom Seaver to get that no-hitter. George, on this date in 1978, I know you know about that game.
I was sitting in the dugout in Cincinnati, absolutely, and it was funny because as the top of the 9th rolled around and we were getting ready to hit, Keith Hernandez grabbed the ball from the last out and drew a big X on the mound and set the ball in the middle of the X to try to, obviously break up the no-hitter, do what he could do. But Big George, he was the first guy not to talk to reporters, the first guy that didn't want to talk to reporters, number one. Number two, he's the reason you have long pants in the big leagues. Did you know that, Drew? He was the first guy to wear the long pants. Now, they weren't baggy. The longest pants, he wore the long pants in the big leagues, was George Hendricks. And the reason behind, George said, I got skinny enough legs, I'm not going to show these 8 stripes you got on these Cardinal socks. And they said it's $100 a day if you don't. So he walked in and wrote a check for $8,100 and said that's the first half.
Good story. I like that.
They handed the check back to him, and the long pants were back in fold at St. Louis in 1970. It's funny too, Mark, with George in the outfield, because it would get to 130 degrees in St. Louis. Yeah, but he used to wear rubber cleats, but they had the metal rivets, that held them together. He would switch. He'd put his shoes in buckets of ice in between innings. People don't realize how strong George Hendricks was as a hitter and how good an arm he had in right field.
Yeah, he had like 260-some homers, didn't he?
Yep. And a lot of people don't know this either. He has twin sons. One of the sons, they're not twins, but sons, one of them is 6'11" and played basketball in Europe for almost 12, 14 years.
6'11".
6'11", yeah. Wow. Ask George tomorrow about it. The other one's like 6'8". Is
George talking to the media now?
Well, he talks to former players that are media.
Okay.
How's that?
All right, sounds good. Pena strikes out. Flores has 2 outs here in the 7th. By the way, an attaboy to Josh Fogg. 3 1/3. Gave up a run on 3 hits. Didn't walk a batter. Struck out 2. And if the Rockies are to come back in the late innings, a big reason why that is possible, the work of Josh Fogg in middle relief.
No question. It's exactly the reason why. And again, those guys are the unsung heroes. The guys that don't get enough credit and pats on the back for what they do, but that's the way you work your way back into a rotation. Guys struggle sometimes. Tonight was not Jorge De La Rosa's night, and Fogg came in and picked up a big lift for this ball club.
Ben Zobrist takes down low. It's 2-0 on Zobrist. Out of Dallas Baptist University. He went to a small school first in the Midwest, and he was a pitcher. Then he transferred to Dallas Baptist. And he
I can tell you, Dallas
drafted in the 6th round in 2004.
Dallas Baptist is a pretty good place to go play baseball.
It's a great place. Yeah, they crank guys out.
Yes, they do. They do it in a hurry.
Uh-oh. Now Zobrist's going to get the jog again. That's his 14th home run this year. The last year, he hit a dozen the whole season.
Well, that home run, Drew, is just a double shy of the cycle, too. There's a fastball up just above the belt line. Again, every pitch that's hurt the Rockies staff today has not been a quality strike. It's been a little bit up into the strike zone versus where it needs to be, and Zobrist does his damage here, too.
He's got 6 home runs in his last 13 games. They call him Zorilla. Oh, 2 on Jason Bartlett. And the 1-2's left up. That's a fair ball. That was a hanger, and it's ripped down the line by Bartlett. He's going to have himself a double. Bartlett has a 2-hit night, and the hits piling up for Tampa. They have 13 of them.
There's another shot of it. It's just going to be right down the line. But look where the pitch was again, folks. It's up into the strike zone. And even though Stewart's playing a little bit off of the line, you're not going to do anything with this. That ball was hit fairly hard. Now, Jim Tracy's going to make a move and go down to the bullpen. Garrett Atkins will come into the ball game. Ian Stewart made the last out. So Garrett can go to third base. And we'll hit ninth. Stu will come out of the ball game. Daly, the right-hander, coming out of the bullpen.
9-3 Tampa Bay. Third base, Ian Stewart comes out, and the new pitcher is Matt Daly.
Yeah, what a find this right-hander has been for the Rockies. Comes in a lot of different situations. Really excels well with traffic. 13 games he's pitched in. An earned run average of an even 3. 12 innings pitched, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts. Gabe Kapler will come to the plate. Kapler's had a pretty good night so far against his former ball club. A triple, a home run, 3 RBIs. 14 on the season now. His 4th home run hit in this ball game.
There have been some extra base hits thrown out by Tampa tonight. 4 home runs, 2 triples, a double. And Kapler has another base hit. Hop trying to get to the baseball. Bartlett around third. Here's the throw to the plate. It's cut off. And Tampa's reached double figures. They're up 10-3. Gabe Kapler has a 4 RBI night in his return to Coors Field. And George Hendrick with a big pat on the back.
Yeah, they're excited for him because they know where he's been a couple of years ago to where he is right now. And this base hit to right field, just inside out of the ball. There's that strength of Kapler coming through with this line drive shot to the right side, but it gets caught up in the grass on the dirt, slowed it down enough as Hop came on to field it to not have a play on the play at the plate. 2 runs come in. They'll both be charged to Florida.
Here's Deoner Navarro.
Kind of a classy thing. It really kind of going unnoticed here too. They're up 7. It's 10-3. It's in the 7th inning. Gabe Kapler not being held on by Todd Helton. In other words, they're just going to give you the bag. Kapler did not go on the first pitch. We'll see if he goes here or not. As Joe Madden showing respect for the Rockies in the game of baseball.
Great Tuesday night crowd, George. 28,582. They're not happy right now, but it's good to see the folks at Coors Field excited about Rockies baseball again after a very difficult first couple of months. That's a strike, 1-1.
Jim Tracy's been a reason for that. 11-4 so far. The club's played well under him.
Gabe Kapler at first base is driven in 4 tonight for the 6th time in his career. That matches a career best for Kapler. He credits his wife Lisa with convincing him that it's not a bad idea to try to go play again when he was managing in the Boston system.
Well, if it's still in your blood, it's difficult not to want to go play, and I think that was probably one of the big things for him. Tulowitzki with the long throw because set up defensively for the pole. The Rockies trailing us, saying, partner, 10-3. They've been out hit 14-5.
You're the pitcher. Tampa leading 10-3. They jumped on the Rockies' Jorge De La Rosa early in this baseball game. They got a run in the first and then 4 in the second. Chased them with 2 more in the third. Myra writes in, please explain what you mean when you say the pitcher is pitching from the stretch or the windup. Back upstairs with George Frazier, the former relief pitcher. I'm Drew Goodman. Now, Frazier pitched out of the stretch most of his career.
This is fair because I just said to the truck, I said, please give me Nelson out of the stretch on the mound. And he throws it down to second. I'm going to give him an example of the stretch.
Stand
and then
up.
He does this.
Stand up.
Well, I can't stand up. I don't fit in the little skinny lens anymore. Here he is in a stretch right here. Watching this. There's the stretch. It's as if somebody is on base. So you basically come and set to go to home plate. Whereas, see, I can do it sitting down now. Yeah. Then out of the windup is where you see a guy step back and the hands come over his head and he does his delivery. And this is the stretch that he's in right now, as if there's a man on first base. Hopefully we answered it. We'll get a bigger, wider lens next time, and I'll stand up and do it.
When you say, George, I'm going to throw a percentage out there. 90% of guys who work out of the bullpen, even when they come in and there's no one on base, they work out of the stretch.
Yeah, a lot of guys do because that's where you're making your living. You know, you don't want to get out of whack in any way, so a lot of guys just stay in the stretch constantly and work out of that position. Sammy, can you give me a little bigger lens next time? Promise? Can you get a bigger shirt for me too?
That may be the easier route, Frazier. That's a little less expensive.
Well, they can probably shoot it from center field.
1-1 on Carlos Gonzalez. Pulled the string way out in front. It's 1-2. Carlos an infield hit and scored a run in the 5th. He is 1 for 2. Joe Nelson in relief of Jeff Neiman. Second inning of work for Joe.
Done a nice job. There's that heavy sink too at 77. What he does, he just backs off of it and really pronates his hand out front. We're going to show you on the Hyundai cam right now. Watch the follow through. All right, see the hand? Now watch how the index, everything. See how that rotated, almost spun to the inside, almost reversed his arm completely out. And when you do that, you get an awful lot of sink on the baseball.
Chris Iannetta.
See what I
1 in a walk.
What I was talking about, when Joe threw that pitch, you see his arm come through, but what he does when he gets out front, you see him really turn and pronate. That's what causes that big sink and that big move on the baseball. Holds it like that two-seam, stays on top of it. See, and then you get that late run because of that big turn of the arm. When you come through, you rotate this way and do it. Didn't know that, did you? Kind of like throwing a football pass. Those guys rotate, you know, and they follow through this way.
Did you throw that ever?
What's that?
The pitch where you threw it like a football?
No.
No?
No. Had enough trouble doing it the right way.
1 ball, 1 strike. And that's high on Chris. 2 balls and a strike. Now keep those emails coming. Tuesday night, email the booth night, brought to you by Office Liquidators and OfficeLiquidators.com. Tell you what, whatever Joe Nelson's doing, George, he's confounding the Rockies. He's faced 4 hitters and he's punched 3 out.
Well, I think part of it's a great big high leg kick. You know, before he comes, watch his leg kick in front. You know, you always talked about deception. See how he rocks back, balances, see how the high leg kick? And he just kind of hides the ball right at his hip and it fires out of the hip real quick with a short arm action on the backside. See, watch the delivery a little bit right here as he comes set. See, he's got that funny looking changeup thing. You see how the weight's distributed right back here. Now when he comes, see how high, stop it. See how high that leg comes up almost to his shoulder level, but yet the ball stays hidden behind, and that's part of the deception it works for. Joe Maddon's going to make a switch.
Joe's got the hoodie on tonight, George.
Well, you know, I don't know what to say about that. He likes wearing that hoodie. I like his glasses personally. Little Buddy Holly look.
Yeah.
Huh? No?
He's a Renaissance man. He's got eclectic interests. Among them, he's a wine connoisseur.
They got guys running all over the field everywhere, and who are is it Balfour coming in?
They got the bat boy going out for the jacket.
Here comes the Jackets back in. Navarro's on the mound. Who's in right field now?
Greg Gross has come out, or Gabe Gross has come out.
Yeah, Greg retired.
Yeah, Greg's no longer playing. You're right, that's Gabe. Back in a moment. Been all Tampa tonight. They're up 10-3, trying to spoil the Rockies' 11-game winning streak. Gabe Gross, the veteran, comes in the double switch in right field. Gabe Kapler goes out, and the new pitcher is Grant Balfour, originally from Sydney, Australia.
This guy throws really, really hard. 28 games, 3-1 overall record. Good hard fastball. The first at 94. Remember him? He used to be with Milwaukee for a little bit before he came over to Tampa in a trade late in 07.
Frazier was with your old club, also the Twinkies.
Yep.
That's who he came up with. He was actually signed by the Twins out of Australia. And this is the first at bat for Garrett Atkins. He came in last inning in a double switch. And it's 2-0. Garrett swung the bat well on Sunday. He had a 3-hit ball game starting at third base as the Rockies finished their sweep against Seattle. 1 out. Ionetta's at first base. Dexter Fowler on deck, and this ball is lofted into the seats down the right field line. Foul. And another foul ball in a similar direction. Here's something pretty interesting. One statistic, and there's a ton of statistics obviously in baseball, but there's a statistic that I know a lot of general managers pay attention to because they believe it gives you an overall idea of how your team sits in the long haul, and that is run differential. Remember a few years ago, Arizona didn't add up. They had negative run differential, but they were in the neighborhood of 90 wins, which was most unusual. Well, the Rockies, despite the fact that coming into today 8 teams had a better record in the National League, they were third in run differential. Dodgers #1 plus 81, not a surprise. That's fouled off again. Then the Phillies at plus 39, and then the Rockies at plus 22. And to many GMs, that would be indicative of a team that should be well above 500. So that could be, again, a good sign of things to come.
I would agree with you.
2-2 down low, 3-2. Nice job by Atkins. Ball 4. So Balfour walks Atkins. Ionetta goes to second, and that'll bring up Dexter Fowler. Let's take a look at another email. This is from Justin. It's a good question. Why are tall right-handed pitchers, George, so coveted?
Well, I think they are because they can get the downward plane and they've got the good hard sink and slider. You get a shorter in stature, it's a rarity that they have that type of delivery where the ball really rides down in the zone. Now there is exceptions obviously to the rule, and there's one of those is sitting out in San Francisco where he won the Cy Young. So I mean, those are the type of guys that are the exception, but most tall right-handers have the better breaking ball, better leverage to the plate.
I'll add one thing because it is a common theme in Major League Baseball that scouts believe that the tall right-handers in particular, lefties are a rare commodity. It's less likely that they'll break down. And I don't know if I buy that. I'm with you. This is hit hard right at the second baseman. There's one, and they are able to turn it over. That's tough to do with Dexter running. 4-6-3 on the double play. Nicely turned by Zobrist and Bartlett up the middle. We'll go to the 8th inning. The Rockies trail it 10-3. Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is ready when you are. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag, it's on. By Comcast Digital Home Phone Service, warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST. By Big Brothers Big Sisters, donate your car and you'll get a free tow and tax break, and you'll help change a kid's life. And by Mike Shaw Chevy Saab, Colorado's crossover and SUV headquarters for 50 years. Visit MikeShawAuto.com. We go to the top of the 8th inning. Tampa has led this one throughout. And unfortunately, it's been fairly lopsided throughout. 10-3. Matt Daly throws a fastball past Gabe Gross, who just stepped into the ball game. Very useful player coming off the bench. So he's been a good pinch hitter. Solid outfielder. Like a changeup in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. '29-year-old Gabe Gross takes a pitch off the plate. Got another email from Brent Aurora. With the Papelbon being fined for slow play, have you noticed the game's moving along a little better? I think that was an aberration. I think guys, are pretty set in their ways. Most guys, most pitchers that infielders like, get the baseball and get right back on the rubber.
Yeah, they do. And again, I think you're right. It doesn't happen very often at all for a guy to get whacked for slow play. I can think of a lot of different guys that you could get if that's what you wanted to enforce. Lee Trevino called it stalling.
Also, I think when a team's on offense, George, you've been in that dugout. When a guy's starting to walk around the rubber, they start thinking, this guy doesn't want to throw to us. He's afraid to throw to us.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of guys. I mean, a guy like Papelbon, that's not him. That's not his case. But, I mean, closers like a Jeff Reardon used to throw a pitch and walk all the way around the mound and walk up the backside, and you're like, get on the mound and throw the ball. And it was just, I don't know if it was his clearing of the mind, the thought process, or what it would do to do it. I always liked guys like Gossage and other guys who would just grab the ball. And I always refer to Goose because he lives here in Colorado. A lot of people here know him. You just grab the ball, get right back up on the mound. Don't mess around with it. Because you know what happens? It's kind of a cat and mouse thing starts. Hitters step out, pitchers step off, and it just creates a lot of delays.
Who's the fastest worker you ever saw, George?
Oh, well, Rick Ruschel.
Kitty Cott was quick, wasn't he?
Kitty Cott was quick. Randy Jones was lightning.
Plus, he threw 70 pitches an outing.
The other guy that worked really quick and liked to, Steve Carlton, Colorado resident, lives down in Durango.
2-2 on Gross.
Steve told me all the time. He said, I wish they wouldn't throw it around after a strikeout. I wish they just throw it back to me and let's keep playing. So I never figured that out. Why do they do that?
And that's fouled off. Gross started last year with Milwaukee, came in a midseason trade to Tampa. And he has himself a base hit. And Hobb can't control the baseball and ends up kicking the center fielder Fowler, who files it, throws it back in, and Gross is at second base. It'll be an error on Brad, allowing the runner to go to second base. That'll bring up B.J. Upton. Upton, 2 for 4, double and an RBI in the second, and he singled in the fourth.
Just third error of the year on Brad Hobb.
And that's inside on BJ. 24-year-old. Heard this name for a long time, George. He and his brother Justin. He's older than Justin. And that ball is gone. You know what? Get all the bad stuff out of the way
That's
tonight.
right. Get it over with, man. Just go ahead. Y'all just keep wailing. Don't worry about it. Get it all out of your system and be happy about it, all right?
Get the ugly over early. 5th home run tonight for the Rays. For Upton, that's his 4th of the season.
We had a couple RBIs for him, too, on a sinker down and in. Very good low ball hitter. Took that sinker and just drove it out into left field for the home run. 12-3.
Carl Crawford with a 1-0 pitch. And this is lifted down the left field line. This could be a problem. It's a fair ball. And Crawford to second with a double. And that is a new Tampa record. George, that's their 11th extra base hit.
Out of 17 hits in the ballgame. They're coming into Denver smiling, and the dugout across the way is not smiling very much. Tracy. Richie Dower.
You know, sometimes, George, you're going to get beat. The Rockies weren't going to go clean the rest of the way.
No, they weren't.
And as badly as we want to win every one, and as nice as it would have been to make it 12 straight, and as unlikely as that appears right now, sometimes it's easier to dismiss one like this than the old 4-3 loss.
Yeah, you know, and think back to what if I done this or did this, or if I swung the bat different, made a pitch different, we could have won the ball game. And this one takes right now it takes a lot of doubt out of it.
This ball, towering shot to deep center field. It's going to stay in the park. Fowler gets back there. Now moving up is Carl Crawford. He'll jog to third. That is the first out as Longoria is retired. Well, we're getting a lot of emails in. That's good for all of you at home. Try to get your questions answered tonight on Email the Booth, brought to you by Office Liquidators. Mark, will Major League Baseball ever consider trying to implement some kind of standards for the distances to the outfield walls in their ballparks? I hope not, and I sincerely doubt it. One of the things that makes baseball unique, one of the many things that makes baseball unique and different from the other major sports. There's no clock, first of all. It's fouled off by Pena. And the other thing is, George, you come to Coors Field, it's 415 to dead center. It's 350 down one line, 347 down another. You go to Boston, you have the Green Monster. You go to Yankee Stadium, you have a short porch in right field.
A lot of short porch there. But I mean, it's the crooks and the crannies that make up a ballpark. And it's the distance to the gaps. It's you know, the height of the walls, the differentials there, as you can see, the auxiliary scoreboard versus the regular wall. So yeah, I hope they don't either. I hope they leave the game alone.
I mean, I know when the wave of new parks came in the 90s, and you saw the exodus of the you know, the old parks, the cookie cutter parks of the multi-purpose venues, if you will, of the 60s. It was a good thing because you couldn't tell half the time. And George, you played in those parks. Three Rivers, from Riverfront,
the same.
Yeah, Shea Stadium, they all looked the same.
They really did.
One and two on Carlos Pena. He's homered tonight. And he's gone here. That's out number two.
A good sink down and away, trying to lift and separate everything. And then you put that movement with a little bit of velocity behind it. It works pretty well.
And now Ben Zobrist. He is a double shy of one of baseball's rarest deals, and that is a cycle. Not going to happen here. Daly throws him out in the inning. A 2-run home run off the bat of B.J. Upton. And the lead expands to 12-3. (12-3) Tampa, bottom of the 8th inning. Let's get it down again to Mark Stott with tonight's great Colorado Payback Sideline Report. Mark?
All right, Drew, we've been talking about winning streaks here tonight. Rockies probably not going to get to 12 straight. The Rays did. Yep, the Rays' longest winning streak, 12 back in 2004. Around about this time of the season, Lou Piniella was the manager then. They had it broken in a 2-1 10-inning loss against Toronto in a game in which Roy Halladay pitched. And if you look at the Rays here, the remaining players from that 04 team, Carl Crawford was on the team then. I think he's the longest tenured Ray ever. Scott Kazmir came up that year. He's on the DL. And B.J. Upton was a rookie that year in August. He wasn't involved in the win streak. He came up. He was 19 years and 10 months old. One of the young guys, I think the youngest Ray ever. But those are the only 3 left from 2004 when they won 12 in a row. They're on their way here to their 6th straight win this season, guys.
All right, Mark, thank you. Clint Barmas at the plate. He's quickly behind Grant Balfour, 0-2. Clint's had himself a nice ball game. Couple of singles, an RBI in the 5th. 2-out RBI, in fact. George, an interesting pitching matchup tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. David Price, Aaron Cook. I'm looking for the next day, too. Garza. See, a lot of people don't remember this. Garza was the #1 draft pick, too, of the Minnesota Twins. The Rockies drafted him out of high school. He'll pitch on Thursday afternoon against Ubaldo Jimenez. But tomorrow, David Price, #1 draft pick overall. There's Mr. Price going against Aaron Cook tomorrow afternoon. Price 2-1 on the year so far.
Todd tonight's 0 for 3. And he takes strike 1. Balfour hitting 96 with that heater.
Oh, he can do that. He's 92, 96 most of the time. And he's just filling up the zone with fastballs right now. Not throwing a lot of anything else at these Rockies hitters. Another fastball and a ground ball to second. They'll able to go ahead and get tied.
2 outs. That'll bring up Brad Hopp.
Hey, Drew, how about another email?
Okay. Slide it on there, George.
You want me to slide it? Here it comes. There it slid right on.
Nice job. Kiefer Sutherland writes in, why do people vote for the well-known players instead of the players that deserve to be there, like Helton and Hopp?
Kiefer, I love you. That I can't agree with you more. That people do that an awful lot, and I think too. You know what it reminds me of, Kiefer, one time that who was the guy that said I've never done steroids? What was that guy's name? Rafael Palmeiro. Palmeiro won a Gold Glove and played like 3 games in the field that year. That was embarrassing. It was like 13 to 14 games.
Well, that's
I understand that. I'm just saying,
yeah.
you know, it's like the favorites because he hit 500 or whatever he did that year and all the home runs and everything. Everybody got carried away and gave him a Gold Glove. I think the same thing happens if people just start overloading the ballots with certain people and they end up getting in. Well, but a manager has some picks, and so does the National League, and I think Hopp and Helton both deserve to go, along with Jason Marquis, another guy. And you know, I'm going to throw another one out there, although I don't think he'll get to go. But Street at 12 or 13 saves, if he ends up 15, 16 saves in the first half, you never know.
Well, let's see how the next couple of weeks play out. Sure. This ball's hit well to left field. Long run for Crawford. It's over his head. Short hops the wall. Brad's going to have his second double of the night. Man, he just keeps hitting and hitting and hitting. Two for three and a walk.
2 for 3 on the night so far.
Jim Tracy went on for a while about Brad Hopp. He was asked by an out-of-town reporter about Hopp today, because everybody notices his average at 337, the power numbers. And he said, you know, when I was in the other dugout, you could put a shift on against Hopp, put 3 infielders like the Rockies, George, have done against Carlos Pena on the right side. And he was going to try to pull everything. He said now he hits it from foul pole to foul pole. And he had a double on Sunday in a similar spot.
Yeah, he did. And I think he's one of those guys that's starting to use all the field and earn the respect. I know the day with Joe Madden, as we discussed a lot of things down in his office, he said, just out of the clear blue, he goes, boy, I love that Hopp guy. And I was just like, wait a minute, we were just talking about Boulder Collegians and the big Italian meals we had at Baldy, and all of a sudden here comes, I love that Hopp guy. And I said, well, there's a lot of guys in Colorado like him too. Pretty good player.
Off the end of the bat, Tulowitzki's gone. So are the Rockies in the 8th. We turn the page to the 9th. It is all Tampa tonight. They are up 12-3. Once again playing the role of Captain Kirk.
I've got you, Mr. Starlog date 2/17/04. Of course, we'll get the game. We'll get into the clubhouse after the ball game. Also, a array of hits. Starting pitching got roughed up today. Jorge De La Rosa, we'll talk about that. And Gabe Kapler with a big night. We say welcome back because, Drew, I know you loved Welcome Back Cotter.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Hey, wait, you know what?
Your dreams were your ticket out. Come on, I'm singing George. Welcome back.
A little dance
Come on.
Come on. I like it. Tom, has anybody ever told you that you're only a part-time human being?
Yes.
I thought so, other than me.
Hey, you know what, Tom? What? Tom, you're wearing the right color for Captain Kirk also.
Enough.
Drew, if we do not fight to the death, they'll surely kill us both.
Oh.
Please come back for the post-game show.
Oh, you're awesome.
Come out of here. I didn't even watch that show. I never used to watch Star Trek.
Oh, get out
Maybe a little
here.
bit.
Beat me up.
Hey, wait a minute. Okay, let's get back to baseball.
Do we have to?
Not
I'm
really.
having so much fun out here.
Hold on. Can I get a cheap air flight, too?
Sure. I don't know what that means. Oh, the jacket. No, but I can't get you into a new home.
William Shatner.
Oh, yeah. Priceline.com.
There you go.
I don't know if we're supposed to be pimping that kind of thing.
We're trying to get him
I've got work to do over here. You guys call the ball game.
Okay,
unless you want me to do that too.
Bye, buddy. Bye, buddy.
Here's the pitch, driven to right field. This one's going to be honed in by Dexter Fowler and caught. And there's one away in the inning.
Nicely done, Captain
Thank you.
Oh boy. I don't know what.
Okay,
I don't know how much
folks.
coffee's out there, Frage.
There's total snappage. That's all I'm telling you right now.
Alan Embry's on, by the way.
Really difficult test tonight. By the way, Hop, I just want to get this out. We're bragging about Brad Hop. I want to bring it up. He leads the National League right fielders in average, slugging percentage, on-base percentage, doubles, and RBIs, yet he is not in the top 15 in vote getters. Folks, pick it up and vote for the guy.
Joe Dillon is on to pinch hit in the pitcher's spot, which is the 7-hole, and he takes ball 1.
By the way, if you can't get to the ballpark, pick up a ballot. Just go to MLB.com and vote for Brad Hop and Todd Helton and whoever else you want. That was pretty entertaining. Can we get Homer back up again? No.
He's you know what? Tom's a different cat, and I mean that with great affection.
I know. Alan Embry's
He
in the game,
cracks us up all the time.
Well,
that's him.
Yeah, Tom on the town. People don't realize that's not fake. That's him.
Tom on the town with the Cowboy would be real interesting, also.
Well, to go to Cheyenne or go out and do a little, ooh, good slider. Go out and do a little riding around on the horses and get on the tractor and do some more things that Tracy does. Talking about Tracy Ringlesby's, folks. Got to clarify that now that our new Rockies manager is Jim Tracy. A lot of people call him Tracy. I haven't seen you at Sam's, though, number 3. So Tracy and I go to breakfast every morning. Usually a manager, like tomorrow, Joe's coming. Different people come. We kind of have a little baseball roundtable, and I'm waiting on you to show up.
I'll be there one of these days. Atkins throws out Joe Dillon. 2 outs. That'll bring up Deanna Navarro. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Tom Helmer and the Colorado Rockies as well. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Colorado Rockies. Navarro's had a good ball game for a guy that brought a 205 average in. A single and a double in 4 trips. And another test for Atkins. He hangs with it in between Hop. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th inning. The Rockies trailing 12-3.
You want to know about Tracy hanging out with Tom Helmer, where he's going to do that, Drew. Whenever they take off and head to Anaheim, he's going to go to Gene Autry Museum in Anaheim for Tom on the Town. So it'll be Tracy Ringlesby and Mr. Tom Helmer.
Hey, that's right. I'm going to be out there with Ringlesby, and we're going to buy music, because that's where he gets all his Gene Autry music, is at that museum.
And you're going to ride a horse. You just don't know it yet.
You know,
Wiley Gustafson, too. I've never heard of Wiley Gustafson, but I'm going to come back with his whole box set.
He's the official yodeler for Yodel.
Oh, he's the official yodeler.
Gene Autry's the original cowboy.
Tracy, and he doesn't know Belle Isles, but it's gone now. But if he did, he would have loved it, wouldn't he?
In memory of Belle Isles, yes.
Yes.
Best breakfast.
You have no idea, do you, Tom, what we're talking about?
Not a single clue, but I just like the pregame show. I nod like I know what's going on, and I just keep talking. It makes me look knowledgeable.
And he and Tyson.
Of course. Chris, how about some Chris Ledoux?
I don't think you're going to find it at Gene Autry Museum, but you might.
I don't know. They might have a whole array of country music. You'll have to watch Tom on the Town and find out.
Yeah, they need to watch Tom on the Town. I'm going to go and watch you guys film it.
Ooh, George, you and I got to do one. Are you going when we go to New York? Can you take me around?
I'll take you wherever you want to go. If you'll go, I'll take you.
I can't wait for that.
No cameras.
We can only put it on the internet, maybe. I don't know if that'll be for public viewing.
Not going there either. Well, Abreu's come into the ball game now, and Winston Abreu is a guy that spent a little bit of time in Japan last year, 32 years old. Has been up in the big leagues with Baltimore and Washington. His first trip to the big leagues came in 2006.
Omar Quintanilla fouls that off. He remains 0-2 with 5 home runs hit in tonight's ball game. A total of $80,000 has been raised for prostate cancer research. To make a donation, you can call 800-798-CURE or go online to pcf.org. One and two on Quintanilla. Carlos Gonzalez, Chris Iannetta scheduled to follow. 17 hits tonight. 11 of them, a team record 11 of them, extra base hits for the Rays. And Abreu bounced that up there. Balfour went an inning and a third. Actually, an inning and 2/3. Gave up a hit. Struck a man out, nothing else across. Oh, he walked a guy also. You know, the scoreless streak by that Tampa bullpen is intact.
Sure is.
So 3 runs given up tonight by Tampa. Came off starter Jeff Neiman, who is on the plus side. Jorge De La Rosa has the hook. Aaron Cook, David Price tomorrow. 3-2. Former #1 pick in the draft out of Vanderbilt. Teammate of Casey Weathers, very close friend of Casey Weathers, David Price. And ball 4. That's good at bat for Quintanilla. Well, when the Rockies score 7 runs in a game or more, Taco Bell is always the place to go the following day between 4 and 6 in the afternoon. Grab 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink every time the Rockies get 7 in a ball game, as they did on Sunday. Carlos Gonzalez in the game is 1 for 3, singled and scored back in the 5th inning. Hey, George, congratulations in order to Houston Street, co-player of the week in the National League with Mark Reynolds of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And this ball straight to deep left field. Crawford going back, still going back, and he makes a nice catch in the middle of the track. Here's Houston. Well, the Rockies on a roll because 2 weeks ago, Ian Stewart was the player of the week in the National League.
Well, when you play good, you get a lot of notice brought to yourselves, and I think that's something that the Rockies have been able to do, both with pitching, and Street exhibited that, and of course Ian Stewart, the play he had at third, the way he swung the bat, all those home runs over that time frame.
And Iannetta pops it up. Gabe Gross in right field makes the catch. Rockies down to their final out. It'll be Garrett Atkins with his second plate appearance tonight. He walked and he came on in the 7th inning. There for a strike on Atkins. And a base hit. Tonight's delivery of the game brought to you by Jimmy John's. Well, a lot of big flies tonight off the bat of the Rays. He had 5 home runs in the ball game. One shy of the club record set earlier this year at Yankee Stadium. B.J. Upton picked one out. Tonight's delivery of the game brought to you by Jimmy John's. And Dexter Fowler steps up for the 5th time. He's 0 for 3, and a sac fly back in the 5th drove in his 16th run. Joe Madden had a lot of nice things to say about Dexter Fowler, watching him on tape. And the fastball's up high. Some scores in Major League Baseball. In extra innings, Toronto beat Philadelphia 8-3. Cubs and White Sox postponed today. St. Louis beat up Detroit 11-2. Pujols hit his 23rd in that ball game. Angel Cabrera home runs for Detroit. Seattle leading in San Diego 2-0. Beltre's hit a home run. Franklin Gutierrez a home run. Dodgers and Oakland scoreless in the 6th inning. Kershaw's on the hill for the Dodgers. Outside. And the Angels in the city by the bay beat San Francisco 7-0. Milwaukee over Cleveland earlier 7-5. Here's the 2-1, and that ball's roped down the line and right. Extra bases for Fowler. Quintanilla will score. Atkins will stop at third. Dexter a real wide turn. He was halfway at third base. Now he'll come back. So Dexter has a 2 RBI night. He turned on that phrase.
Yeah, he did it in a heartbeat, didn't he? On a good fastball too, offered by Abreu. Pitch coming into the plate, trying to sink down and away. Dexter just throws the top hand at it. Just watch it, and then it's off to the races. So you watch Iannetta up on top, Quintanilla is going to come around to score, and then Atkins is going to scoot over to third base as they battle it around down in that corner. Gross does. Yeah, I know it's 12-4, yet the Rockies not trying to win. You know, you don't think about winning the game right here, but you gain some respect from these guys after being beat up pretty good early in this game.
Yep, sure do. Barmas a couple of hits tonight. He's behind 0-1. 0-2. Mets beat Baltimore 6-4 at Camden Yards. Pelfrey over Guthrie. The Yankees beat Washington 5-3. Sabathia improves to 6-4. He beat Ron Vallone. Mariano Rivera his 15th save. Boston over Florida 8-2. Papi hit his 5th home run. Line drive, and it's going to be caught by the shortstop, Jason Bartlett, and that is the ball game. So Tampa ends the Rockies' 11-game winning streak as the Rockies tie their all-time franchise best, and they'll look to start one up again tomorrow when they send Aaron Cook to the mound.